I gotta realign my webcam. Hold on 1 second. Why is this not coming out? Oh, alright, I know why this isn't coming out. There we go. Alright, so, sorry about that. I had to readjust something in this video. My bad. Okay, so, I wanted to take the time to make a comment on an old, well, commentary on an old video, and then go into some other things that are that kind of have evolved from this. So first of all, this video is from 2016, January 25th, 2016 to be exact. Now, again, this is why am I making a comment on this video that is this old? It's simply because the subject matter involved in it applies today. So this is an actual problem. I don't want to say it's a problem. So the first thing you have to understand that most things on the net are only a problem if people allow them to become problems. So I saw this statement and I thought it was great. I can't remember. I really wish I remembered where I read this, but somebody said people who get offended deserve to be offended. Simple as that. Because if you are getting offended at stuff, then you need to look at your own behavior. I cannot stress this enough. So one of the things that people like to use a lot is the word autistic, or this conversation is so autism. They don't even know what the word means, and even if they did, who cares? Great. They want to use it that way, let them. I don't get offended because I have an autistic daughter. I use the word retarded, and people are like, oh, you use the word retarded. Yeah, I do, because the context I'm using it is not a derogatory statement toward an individual. It's just how somebody's acting. It's like when somebody's saying, oh, you're acting like an ape. That's an old phrase. You're acting like an ape. Not because you're black or not because it's racist. It's because you're acting like an animal that's beating its chest. Roar! That's what it does. So if you decide to take that as an offensive piece of thing because, oh, you're acting like an ape, okay, then you're acting like a fucking idiot. Oh, it's offensive. Okay, then you're acting like a fucking douchebag. Oh, that's offensive. Fuck off. I'm gonna call you exactly what you're acting. So I have this strong point of view on if you're acting a certain way, I'm going to call you out on it. So that brings me to the point on this video. I kind of got off track there. Sorry about that. But that brings me to the point on this. So this question is by everybody's favorite BuzzFeed. So BuzzFeed is not anything to be taken serious. However, the questions that are in here, I just want to address because most of the people that have made commentaries on this video are pussyfooting around the issue. Now, they have their own opinions, that's fine. But you'll find that the answers that I'm going to put to these things, or these supposed questions or statements, or whatever you want to call them, are basically different because I put in a point of view, not from a favorite side, but just a common sense principle used to combat irrational thinking. So, let me first get into this. All right, so this is, again, by BuzzFeed. You can look this up. It's 36 questions women have for men. Now, there's plenty of people who make commentary videos on this, women included, whatever. And so there are women who answer this, which can't really answer some of this stuff with men. So first of all, 36 questions women have for men. Okay, let's rephrase that. 36 irrational, pointless questions women have for men. Now, also, a lot of the stuff is just noise. So there's some stuff I am going to skip. I'll let it play, but I'm going to make a commentary on all of these. But I'll explain why I'm going to skip it afterwards. But there's one point in particular that I want to pay attention to, and that's what's really going to resonate with people because it's an actual thing in real life. It's not, these are just opinions. This is an actual thing. So I'm going to put what the actual answer to this. Now, people are like, oh, that's your opinion on how this should be answered. No, that what I'm going to answer, how this needs to be addressed in the fashion I'm doing it. And this is not an opinion. This is how it needs to be addressed. So, all right, so let's try this.
Why do you hate rom-coms?
Okay, so you have to understand that all of these questions are being generalized and they really don't have an actual point. So backing up at the beginning of the video, like, what's it feel like to be the same sex as Donald Trump? It's a pointless question. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. You're not a fucking man, so I don't give a shit you have no business asking that. What's it like? What's it like whacking your hand with a fucking hammer? You know what I mean? It's like, there's no point in asking a question that you will never be able to understand or get incomprehensive. So that's a pointless fucking question. What's it like being a man? These questions are from a sarcastic nature. They're from a derogatory, idiotic, pointless situation. So that's it. So let me explain something about the rom-coms, which is short for romantic comedy in case people don't know. Okay. From rom-coms are a style of movie. I don't give a shit who's in them. If you've watched a Hallmark movie, you've seen how they are. Now, I like drama movies. I like horror. I'm into a bunch of horror movies. There are horror movies I fucking hate because they are so boring, so cheesy, and so out of whack that some of them I have to watch because of how dumb they are, but it doesn't matter what kind of statement is, why do you hate it? The question should be phrased, what don't you like? And the bottom line is, they're fucking boring. That's bottom fucking line. They're fucking boring. Now, have I sat and watched some of them? Yeah, of course I have. Do you know why? Because I wanted to see what they are so I could formulate an opinion. And if you watch a Hallmark, and some people say that's shallow, okay, here's a piece of homework assignment for you. Go watch a Hallmark movie and binge watch them, and then tell me it's not the same story over and over again. Horror movies, in that regard, are kind of the same thing. So how is that not the same? Because in rom-coms, the scenario is identical. It's not even similarities. It's identical. It's two lonely people that either knew each other or whatever, and they get together in some resort or family business or anything else. That's literally all the same thing. Now, you can say Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers and all the other, famous horror stuff is all on point. In a sense, you are correct. You have a serial killer that winds up killing somebody. That's it. That's what horror movies are. Where they are and take place doesn't change the base premise. Anything that can be said about anything, including toys, anything. So the whole concept here is why rom-coms, why people don't like rom-coms is simply because they're fucking boring. They have the same storyline, and I don't want to sit and watch something that doesn't appeal to me. Simple as that.
Or do you just feel like you need to hate them?
Now, when you ask somebody, this is a prime example of a question like this is when you look at Bad Boys. There's a scene where Martin Lawrence, his character, is talking to a therapist. Because I guess apparently it's either Bad Boys 1 or 2. And he says, I'm not mad, except when somebody keeps asking me what I'm mad at. And it's just like, do you feel the need to hate it? No, but you know what? People should fucking hate it just for specifically you asking that.
Everybody likes the Notebook. Everybody likes Beyonce. Why do you make...
Okay, so first of all, not everybody likes the Notebook. I fucking hate that movie. I've never seen it, and I have no intention of seeing it, just like The English Patient. Okay? I like to see... I got some movies that I would fucking actually like for these people to sit down and watch because they try to use this. Now, this is a generalized stupid thing because I don't listen to Beyonce. I don't know what any of her music sounds like, but her public image makes me not want to listen to it. She may be the best person in the world, but a public image of somebody does have to do with how you formulate whether or not you even want to listen to them. Because of how she is, I don't know her as a person, but the public image of her is fucking horrible. I fucking don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it. And so, the Notebook. Okay, ask these people. Since you want to think the Notebook is so good, ask any of these people if they will sit down and watch the movie Yentl. I've seen Yentl. How about Gandhi? Okay, let's go all out on a limb here. How about I don't know. It's just Saving Grace. That's another one. So I just find it funny how they'll label off like the Notebook. My wife tried watching that and she fucking couldn't stand it because it was too boring. And she couldn't follow, like, a lot of these things you can't even follow what the hell is going on in them. They're just like, well, this is a good story. A good story according to whom? That's opinionated. That's like saying, oh, this is a really good movie. So, I mean, it's not going to change anything. It's just fucking stupid, So, let's see here. Alright, so let me continue here.
Why do you make women sit around and talk about men in movies?
Yo, easily just sit around and talk about food for hours.
Why do you?
Okay, I don't even know what that question means. What do you mean we make you sit around? So we go out and get a gun and we corral you up, hurdle you in together, get a net, gather everybody up and sit down. You are going to talk about that. What the fuck does that even mean? And sitting around talking about boobs? No. If I fucking talk about that shit, I'm fucking making nasty ass jokes about it. And I don't give a shit. If you get and here's the thing. If I am out in public and you overhear me, well, it's offensive. I'll try to tell you to turn around and shut the fuck up. It's public. I'm like, yeah, great, and? Because this is how I am. I won't say shut the fuck up, depending. I mean, you use some common sense if there's kids around or whatever it is. But if the man or the woman starts swearing with their kid is around, then I'm going to start swearing. Because that's how it is. You're going to set your own example. What's fight? And this is like, well, that's a childish thing to do. Yeah, it is. You know what? And I've always admitted, I don't give a shit. I will talk to somebody the way they talk to me. If you're rational, I'll be rational. If you're going to start yelling, I may start yelling. I probably fucking will. But the point here is the thing here is that, what do you mean we make you sit around? I just want to make sure I heard that properly. Hold on.
And talk about food.
Hold on a second.
Easily just sit around.
Hold on a second. All right, I
You
got it.
make women sit around and talk about men in movies.
Yo,
Okay, so first of all, they spliced that together. So I don't even know if that's the same question or if they spliced it together to formulate a question. But we make them sit around. We make them sit around. I don't even know. But who gives a shit who talks about what? I don't give a fuck if somebody wants to talk about their puss. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't care.
easily just sit around and talk about food.
Yeah, so what if we did? See, here's the honest answer to this. So what if we did? You easily talk about boobs. You don't make anybody sit down and talk about boobs. You're like, we make you sit down and talk. No. And when I say we, males, nobody makes anybody sit down and talk about anything. We just don't. You make us sit down and listen to these fucking videos. That's like me saying, you make us sit around and fucking listen to these whining. You make us listen to you at rallies. What?
For hours. Why do you automatically assume that you won't like TV or movies that star female? Why?
Okay, so here's the thing. This is where men and women differ. And I don't want to say stuff that other people said, but lack of better term, if you shut your fucking eyes and listen to a movie, you can kind of differentiate, different roles. You can kind of do that. However, if there's a voice actor in the movie and you're watching a cartoon, you don't know who's doing that voice. I mean, fucking hell, Bart Simpson's voice is done by a female. A lot of people for the longest time were shocked when they found out it was done by a female. Some of these white actors are doing black voices. Some of the black voices are doing white actors. And in case anybody wants to get on me about that one, fuck off. Samuel L. Jackson does the voice of a white cop in Boondocks. So don't get on me about that because it's true. And if you don't believe me, look that up. So, and if you don't know who's doing what, it's irrelevant. So shut your eyes in the next thing, and then it's irrelevant who's fucking playing the main part. It's as simple. It's not relevant who plays the fucking main part. What matters is it's written well, and if it's enjoyable. And there are certain TV shows that because of how society is, the image of it is enough to turn me off. And I will admit, I'm guilty of this. And now when people say I'm guilty of this, it's like justifying. No, I'm point blank saying I'm a stupid fuck for doing this. There are movies where I looked at it and I'm like, oh God, not this. And I premise it off of another movie. And my attitude is coming from too many people are trying to force change things that they shouldn't exist. Somebody's like, that's a bad attitude. No, you shouldn't fuck with things. So case in point, I brought this up as an interesting thing. All right, so I would like to see this, and I'll explain the reason why I'd like to see this after. I would actually like to see Willy Wonka be remade with the female in the lead. This is why I say this. Anybody who knows the actual story of Willy Wonka knows it can never be made into a movie, ever. I'll let you look that one up. But basically, what you'd wind up doing is putting a female in the place of the male in that context. People would go out of their fucking minds that a woman was portrayed in that evil of a manner. So if you're gonna go on this scale, you have to go on really controversial subjects. Nobody gives a shit whether the context of what Willy Wonka is, unless you actually know what it is. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And how about we change, since people are so into put females and everything, then let's start changing all the female roles into male. Let's use a transgender Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. If we're going to go down this road, let's go all the way and put it where things actually matter. Let's get Gone with the Wind back and swap roles. How about we make that transgender and see exactly where this leads? Because if people are going to piss and moan, it's not, they wouldn't have a fucking, let's see how much of a problem people really have when we start adding what people want into places it doesn't fit. So let's try this one here.
Why are you surprised when women are funny? I'm probably funnier.
No, actually, you're not funnier than me, and here's the reason why. Because my delivery is better. Now, I fucking love watching all sorts of comedians. I will literally watch disabled comedians, kid comedians, and everything else. The reason why is because I like to broaden my scope on what is available. So, with this video, no, you could be funny, but since you're in this video, no, you're not. And I'm funnier than you are simply because of my delivery. That's a base fact because my delivery is fucking horrible. Like, my delivery is so off the wall that I can literally take anything and make it funny. And I'll be doing that at near the end of this video with something specific. So, let me check something here. All right, so here we go. Courting and dating. So this ought to be good.
Why do you think that we're obsessed with you when we hook up? 9 times out of 10.
Okay, that question is fucking retarded. If you are hooking up with somebody, you are obsessed with them. You don't have to like it. That is what the definition of hooking up in itself is. You are obsessed with somebody you want to get with. Whether it's a date, whether you're sleeping with them, whether you're fucking them, whether you're doing oral on them, it doesn't matter. You are literally obsessed with that person because you want to get with them. Doesn't matter who it is. That's how that operates. That's a thing.
I just want you to leave too. I'm busy. I got shit to do.
All right, so hold on 1 second.
I just want you to leave too. We're obsessed with you when we hook up. 9 times out of 10.
Okay, so this video can't even be politically correct to say the fucking word sex. Hold on.
We're obsessed with you when we hook up.
Okay. To be hooking up with somebody means you already have to be obsessed with them on both ends.
9 times out of 10. I just want you to leave too. I'm busy.
Okay. Okay, so there was an episode of Sex and the City where Sarah Jessica Parker said, her character is narrating where she wants to have sex like a man with no emotional attachments. And she succeeded in doing so. And then they went off and talked about it. The point being is that why do you think we're obsessed with you? Or what is that? Why are you obsessed with us? Because the same question applies both ways. If somebody gets up, right now, honestly, I can't say I probably wouldn't, but what made my wife fall in love with me is when I respected her, after an intimate time. And so she's like, where did you learn that? And I said, that's just my thought process. That's how I am. So that she fell in love with me after that, at that point, because I was different. And it's not something I did. It's something I did, but it's not something I said. It's not something I tried to impress her. It just came out of the blue because that's how I am. So people always ask me, it's like, how they poke fun at me for having a wife and a daughter, and they see a YouTube persona and they're like, oh, you're a fucking blah, 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 blah. Like, I have somebody that hates me on Discord. fucking hates me on Discord, rips apart everything I say. They don't realize that I do things. So they literally took my let's talk about the word nigger video and posted it on the Black Lives Matter, trying to get people to come after me. This kid's a piece of friggin' work. He fucking he doesn't hate me, he hates me. Like, he was actively looking for people to come after me, which is a federal crime, by the way. So it's just really funny how this shit goes on when you have somebody this pissed off. And so my point being is that if people in the past think of this, every single instance, no matter what it is, every single instance of somebody hooking up and then getting up to leave, whether they're getting dressed, whether they're not staying overnight, anything. What happens? Just all I want you to do is think about that. What actually happens? And whether it's your personal experience or not, but if you're exempt from that category, fine. But what is the usual concept? People get pissed off because you leave. Oh, I want to be held and everything else. So the actions of this state differently.
Why can't I sleep with as many people as I want to without being judged? When men do it, they're congratulated. Why do you think?
Okay, so why can't I sleep with as many people as I want? Okay, that's one question that's making it sound broken up. Why can't I sleep with everybody I want? When men do it, no. It's like, why are you not getting reflected the same as men? Okay, so in this one, here it is laid out. When you're a teenager, you get points from your other guys for sleeping with or having sex with females. It's a base fact. Now, that also applies to the cheerleading squad in high school. Anybody has to be a fucking idiot to deny that. So, when women do it, they get congratulated or they get pressured. You're considered a prude if you don't sleep with it. So they sleep with him. Guys are like, oh, did you get this? Now, I don't give a shit what your public persona is. I don't give a rat's ass what you want to give off. When people actually have sex with somebody and it means something, you do not have that attitude. I don't give a shit who you are, and you can sit and say you don't. If it's somebody you don't care, it's like, great, whatever. But unless you're a narcissist, you can't not have an emotional attachment to somebody you have had sex with, no matter what end of the spectrum you're on. That's how it is.
Why do you consider a woman a tease if she doesn't sleep with you after 3 days, but a slut if she sleeps with you on the first day?
That's what Tinder's for. Sorry, that's what Tinder's for. But here's the thing. Why do we think you're a tease if we don't sleep with you if you don't sleep with somebody in the third date? Well, it's very simple. Men by nature, no matter, I don't care what guy says this, if a woman is being nice to you, one of the things that runs through your head is you are going to have sex with them. Now, on the flip side of that, women know this and do it to try to say you're a nice guy. Why do we think you're a tease if you haven't slept with us in the third date? That's because of your actions and what you do and using it as a weapon. That is why. So, if you do sleep with somebody, you're easy. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but the same goes for fucking women. Women sleeping with men on their first fucking date is a bad thing too. And here's the thing, I'm not justifying this because this is for women asking questions about men. I'm not going to turn these fucking questions back and, well, what about you? No, the reason why we think that is because of your actions and what you do to weaponize things against men. Period. That's what it is. You don't like it, fuck off. Stop doing it. Now, that doesn't apply to all women, but that's the main reason why. Anybody who says that they don't is fucking lying. If you don't have a girlfriend, the first thing that goes to your head, if you're helping somebody, is usually, and this goes through your head. It doesn't mean you're going to mean it, but this goes through your head as a guy. Shit. They are actually interested in me. The instant you show interest to a guy, they think you like them. Period. That's how the male mind works. This is why the transgender community is fucking hilarious, because if you think you're a guy, then you will have these thoughts. If a woman helps you, you are automatically going to think that they are into you. That's how it is. That's how guys think. There's your answer. We think you're a tease because you fucking lead people on and then you purposely fuck people knowing you can get away with it because if they try something, you're going to fucking yell rape or whatever the fuck it is. But if you sleep with somebody, then that's on you. No matter what it is, if you sleep with somebody, that's on you. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. This is fucking hilarious. Give me 1 second. I used the restroom. I drank water. Fuck me. Okay, I just realized something that I'm not sure if anybody can actually hear the video playing in the background because I guess sometimes you can't. So I apologize for that if you can't hear it. So again, this is just 36 questions women have for men. It's done by frickin' it's done by BuzzFeed. So anyway, let me finish. Back to what I was saying. So yeah, the thing here is that that's how men think. So even the transgender people, this is fucking hilarious because if you're a woman trying to say you're a guy and you don't think that, then you're a fucking idiot. It's that simple.
In what world does no?
All right, hold on. Here we go. I like this next question is fucking great.
What if she sleeps with you on the first date? In what world does no mean yes?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question.
No means no. Why?
Actually, no, that's not completely true. No does not mean no. So let's look at this on a scale. Let's look at this on a different scale here. Okay, in what world? Now this is a question. In what world does no mean no? I mean, what world does no mean yes? Okay. In a world where no means yes, when a child goes to one parent and doesn't, because this question is not, it's for men, but it doesn't specify what it is. So I'm going to answer it honestly. I'm going to answer it with the question. I'm not going to answer it to a hypothetical. I'm going to answer it in what world does no mean yes? When a child goes to one parent that says no and the other parent says yes, in certain third world countries, women have no say, so it doesn't matter whether they say no. It's still yes if the man says it is, or anybody says it is. In the government, the United States, no means yes, especially when police are involved. So to answer the question, in what world does no mean yes? In your world, as the female population, no means yes in that regard. So those are 4 examples where no means yes. So in what world does it mean? Government, female, child going in, and third world countries. I can go on, but I just answered the question.
No. Why do you say that women are too emotional to be leaders, then justify catcalling by saying men just can't control themselves?
Okay. Women are too emotional to be leaders simply because they are. Now, the term rule with your, all right, basic case in point. Why are women too emotional to rule? Look at Twitter. Enough said. Look at the feminist complaints, and that's all I'm going to tell you. If you don't understand that, then that's your question. That's the answer. Look at Twitter. Look at the feminist movement, and then ask yourself that question again.
Why do you think that just because you're nice?
Hold on a second. Let me see. Here we go.
What?
What was this last one here? So.
Catcalling by saying men just can't control themselves.
Okay. We don't care if you like catcalling. Walking, if you dress a certain way, especially in society, you know you're going to get comments said at you, period. So, you don't get to bitch about catcalling when you're dressed like that walking somewhere. Now, here's the thing. Does that give people the right to make comments at you? Yes, it does. And here is why. Because that's what the Constitution allows. It allows the freedom of speech for somebody to make those types of comments. Acting on the comments are a different story. So if somebody's going to whistle at you, too fucking bad. Grow up and deal with it. If you don't like it, find another way to walk. You are not obligated to walk any specific place. Now, is it unfortunate that you have to deal with that? Yeah, but you know what? That's life. That's the United States. That's the country you are in. So it's irrelevant whether you like catcall. I feel uncomfortable. It doesn't fucking matter whether you feel uncomfortable, and that's the right response to this. Catcalling has nothing to do with people controlling themselves, and it has to do with the First Amendment. It's not harassment. It's allowed, period. So you can sit and fucking argue that all you want, but it's allowed. It's like giving the cop the middle finger. It's completely allowed. You'll get beat on for it, but you can't get in any legal problems just for the middle finger. They will make stuff up and attach it to that, sure, but you're not going to get in trouble because you gave the cop the middle finger, because that is a freedom of expression. It's not an insult. It's not an assault, as people like to think it is. It's a gesture, period. It's the same thing as if I stuck my pinky up. Well, that has a different meaning. It doesn't fucking matter what the meaning is. You're allowed to do it. It's like I can't go and piss on a gravestone. That's destruction of property and it's desecration. That's actually a crime. Giving somebody the middle finger is not a crime as much as people think it is. Calling somebody a nigger is not a crime despite as much as people think it is. Just like people say, oh, you're autistic, or, you're a pig, or you're mansplaining. Okay, fine. You're bitching. What's the difference? That's like women saying mansplaining is the equivalency of men saying bitching. So if you're going to go mansplaining, then we're going to call you bitching, period. That's that's how it works.
Why do you think that just because you're nice to me, I owe you my body?
Why would you ever send an unsolicited dick pic?
Okay, so here's the thing. Let me go in here.
Just because you're nice to me, I owe you my body.
That is because that's the way the male mind works. Males operate on the assumption that if I am going to do something for you, you're going to do something for me. This mentality applies over to men, but it doesn't apply sexually. That's the difference. If I do a favor for, now this is before I was married. If I do something for my wife, that has nothing to do with me getting anything in return. That has to do with, that's a marriage obligation. I actually do it because I like to do it. When I was single, if I was nice to somebody, I would damn well expect something in return. Now, if I was nice to a guy, I'd expect them to help me out with something later on. Now, that doesn't mean they're obligated to. That's the male mindset. So when it comes to males, unless they're gay, they will expect a sexual favor in return. That is because that's how the male mind works. And you females know that. So you do stuff. Now, that doesn't mean when you're doing stuff that you are thinking that we're thinking that. But there are some females who do know that, do that, and they do it on purpose. So, fuck off.
Why would you ever send an unsolicited dick pic?
Why would you fucking take nude photos of yourself and put them in the fucking cloud? It's the same question. I know I said I wouldn't do that. But here's the thing. I don't think anybody, unless you're in the porn industry, should be doing anything. Why would we send an unsolicited dick pic? Because it's fucking hilarious and we know it pisses you off. That's why. And on top of that, I heard a really good retaliation, I don't want to say retaliation, but a really good answer to this is like, if you stop giving fucking men your number to do you would give an unsolicited dick pic. Okay, what does that even fucking mean, unsolicited? Okay, if you piss off a guy, or just like if you piss off anybody, they're going to do something to fuck with you in the worst way that they possibly can. And they know sending an unsolicited dick pic to you is going to rile you up because, oh no, he's sending dick pics, because they know that's fucked. And it doesn't, and here's the thing. If I'm going to send an unsolicited dick pic, I'm not going to take a picture of mine. I'm going to find one online and fucking do it. I'll actually take a snapshot out of a fucking porn movie and fucking zoom into it and fucking send it if I were to do that. Now, is that sexual harassment? No, it's a fucking picture. So, it's, people can say, oh, it's sexual harassment. And no, it's not. I mean, you want to fucking talk about malicious. I mean, we can go off and fucking do, talk about what some fucking females do. So it's like, come on. So if you get pissed off by somebody sending an unsolicited dick pic, but it's okay for you to rip somebody's fucking phone out of their hand and stomp it on the ground, then you have a fucking problem. All right, so let me continue here. Communal space. Communal space.
Why do you feel like it's okay to harass women or make offensive comments about women, but when somebody does it to your sister, it's not okay? How does it?
Okay, so first of all, I fucking hate people that when they start something with somebody and they can't handle what they started, they get their fucking family involved. I fucking despise that. And secondly, why do we think it's okay to harass people? Here's the answer to why a lot of men nowadays feel they are perfectly in the right to harass women. Because of what women do to men's lives, period. That doesn't categorize everybody in the same realm, but when you're asking a generalized question, I'm going to answer it with a generalized, legitimate answer. Why do we, because other people are like, oh, I don't feel harassment's all right. No, fuck off. If you destroy somebody's life on your say-so, and everybody caves to your catering needs, you deserve to be fucking harassed, and you get exactly what you deserve. Period. So, if somebody has a bad experience with a certain type of female, or specific looking type of female, I have this bias toward fucking model looking females. I fucking hate them. I cannot stand them. I fucking despise them. And I'm talking about these fucking cunts, and you can hear it in my voice. I make no hiding of that. I fucking hate model looking females. I fucking despise them. And that is because their fucking attitude, it literally, obviously you have control, but there are these women that get their fucking ass beat like that, bring it on themselves because of what they do to target and bully people. Bullies should have their ass beat by people who they fucking bully, period. And these manipulative, I fucking hate manipulation. Doesn't matter who it's coming from. But with the way shit's manipulated now, fuck you. You are going to destroy somebody's life, then the harassment is the least of your fucking problems. If you destroy somebody's life and you get harassed, fuck off. Unfortunately, that reflects on all things. So basically, the same thing as cops. There are really good cops out there. The problem is a bunch of people taking instances that shouldn't be happening at all and placing them into it and then lumping everybody into the same category. Now, I've made comments about this. I've had discussions about where this is what the cops do when they do it with gang members. But that's okay, and it's not. But when it happens to cops, no. There's lots of instances where I say the cops got exactly what they fucking deserve because they do that exact same thing to other people. Nobody seems to have a problem when the cops do it, and so that's the fucking problem. When stuff gets manipulated to the point where it's one-sided, fuck off. So why do men feel it's all right to harass people? Because of what you do and the actions you have and what society has basically conformed you to be is the exact reason why. That's it, the whole hard truth. And here's the thing: you did it to yourself. Now, this backs up into an even more fucked up situation, because back in the 70s, men, back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, men were believed over women. So men, in that respect, brought that on themselves as far as women getting so sick of it that they had to start manipulating things to get back. In that regard, the men got exactly what they deserved. They did. They got exactly what they deserved for how it is. But there's a time where it levels off and it needs to fucking stop. Right now, women have gotten back at the men for what the men have done for the longest time. Now it's time to fucking stop and move on with your lives. So men brought it upon themselves, which is what caused women to start doing this. But now women have taken it overboard to the fucking point where enough is enough. So that's the point. So why do we think it's all right to harass people? Because you do it to yourself. You've gone overboard to the point where you've become so fucking abusive. The court systems are with you. The society is with you. And now you're just making shit up to go out of your way to get people fired from their fucking jobs. Fuck off.
How does it feel to interrupt me when I'm in the middle of making a point during the meeting? Why do you have...
Why? Because there comes a point in time where people just need to shut the fuck up. I've been interrupted because I talk too much. And sometimes I can't get to the point. So I've been interrupted by fucking people who just told me to shut the fuck up. And people are polite because I've gone overboard. But the thing here is, why do we feel the need to interrupt you? It's because of your attitudes and what you do. It's one thing to have a point. It's a completely different story to cram your point of view and not let anybody else have a different point of view. So we will interrupt you. Men will interrupt people in general if they start using their arguments, their opinions, as standalone arguments to end the debate and not have another say. So the reason why men interrupt you is simply because after you're done talking, you don't let them get an end. Oh, that's it, we're done. So we in that regard, yeah, you have to interrupt people.
During the meeting, why do you have to sit with your legs...
And what does that mean, during a meeting? What does that mean?
During the meeting, why do you have to sit with your legs so wide open? I get that you have balls, but I don't stand around with my arms wide open to make room for my boobs.
Okay, so the answer to this, the proper answer for this is, and it's a shallow one at that, wear a fucking strap on all fucking day, sit down with tight pants on, and then come ask us that. And even then, that's pushing it. Wear a fucking strap on and then ask yourself why we spread our legs. That's all I'm gonna say. The fuck was that?
Why are women perceived as the weaker sex, even though we literally birth you like watermelon through like this? Why is it?
Okay, so this is when men reply to this, they reply with a stupid fucking comment. So here it is in a nutshell. Men are stronger from the waist up. Women are stronger from the waist down. Neither sex is stronger than the other in that regard. It's that fucking simple. So men say, well, it's a biological fact that men are strong. Okay, if you're going to use the argument that men are stronger, then you only can go by the upper half. Men cannot have kids, so it's a scientific fact that men are built stronger from the waist up, women are built stronger from the waist down, simply because of those two things. It's that simple. So any man that's answered that has not actually answered that right. So women are perceived as the weaker sex because people are fucking stupid, and they don't look at the question correctly, or they don't look at the aspect correctly. But that's it in a nutshell.
Why is it so bad to show your emotion?
It means you're human.
Why are you always trying to prove your masculinity?
Okay, so why is it so bad to why is it so bad to show your emotions? I'm not afraid to show my emotions. I cry, I'm a human, and guess what? I don't give a fuck. You know why? Because I don't know you, and you don't know what I'm crying about. So here's the thing. Why is it so bad for people? Why is it so bad for men to show their emotions? Because of what women do. It's as simple as that. They don't want to be targeted. They don't want to fucking deal with it. And because of what you do. So you basically create these situations and then wonder why we do what we do.
Why the fuck isn't it ladylike to cuss? When do words get gendered?
What?
Words are not gendered. When words got gendered is when the fucking snowflakes decided to gender them. And then get every fucking, business or whatever, getting it that way. Words became gendered when people made them gendered. They were never gendered in the first place. And there's no such thing as gendered words. There's no fucking such thing. And so here's the interesting thing. For a bunch of fucking morons in the fruit realm that say gender doesn't exist, they cannot be bitching about gendered words. It's a base fact. If you're gonna bitch about gendered words, then you're acknowledging gender. You can't have it both ways. So the reason why I think, and here's the thing, cussing has become a part of life every day. It's not a fucking, it's not unhuman-like. It's not even unladylike or unman-like or whatever it is to cuss. Because I know some men that when they try to cuss, it sounds fucking hilarious. Like, there are people that there are just people that that just, they will sound funny if they cuss. They just sound funny because they don't swear. And so it doesn't matter who's doing it. If you're not designed to say these words properly, cussing has to be done right. If not, you look like you sound fucking hilarious. So, is it unladylike? No. Is it fucking funny when it's done right? Of course it is. But it's even funnier when people who don't know how to, they're not designed to swear. So it's like somebody who's not, men aren't designed to use high heels. Ever watch a men walk in high heels? It's fucking hilarious. So, I don't know. It's just funny to me. So I don't think it's unladylike. Swearing's become part of the culture. It's basically become accepted. So what I think is funny is people trying to police speech while swearing. It's just like, what the fuck?
Your first instinct to doubt women who have been sexually violated?
All right, now here is what I want to get on the legal aspect of it, because these particular questions I'm going to answer, and they're going to be fucking nasty answers according to people who don't like them. But the way I'm going to answer these things is 100% correct. All right, so.
Why is it your first instinct to doubt women who have been sexually violated or raped? What?
You can assume a woman's angry because she's not.
All right, hold on.
Why is it your first instinct to doubt women who have been sexually violated?
Okay, here's the thing. Unless you have a court case, and unless you have proof, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. The reason I don't believe it is because false rape allegations are a fucking problem. If you have to ask, after all the shit that's gone down, after all the fucking breaks, and after all the breaks and all the shit that females get, in accordance to the way the law works, you have a lot of fucking balls to ask, why is your first instinct we don't believe you? Simply because people fucking lie. It's in their nature to be vindictive. So, when I hear about somebody being raped, the first thing that goes to my head is not a female or not a male. The first thing that goes to my head is this one of these fucking things that somebody's surfacing because everybody's coming out of the woodwork, or is this an actual thing? I don't give a fuck who's involved. So that brings me to the legal issue where the feminist has gone beyond the fucking point of what it is. So when somebody asks about feminism, you have to literally ask them to define what their definition of it, because there's two definitions of this. There's a public societal definition, and then there's the actual definition. So when talking to me, a lot of people get fucking so pissed off that I don't go about societal, and I actually go by the meaning of what they're saying, because I want people to know that when you ask certain people certain questions, to be a fucking jackass, you're going to get an actual answer that applies to how things are. Not the way, well, society does this. It doesn't fucking matter what society says. Does it say in the dictionary, feminism, go by what society says? No. It literally says the term equality in the fashion where everything is equal. So, bringing that into this account, because that's really what this comes down to, is when you're dealing with females, you're going to start dealing with feminism because they're now one and the same, because everybody's categorized them one and the same. So let's look at it. the reason why the first thing to do is to not believe is simply because you lie. There's been proven coordinated efforts to fuck people, and it's a vindictive statement that has been blown out of the fucking it's blown out of the water at this point. I want to make sure I listen to what this person said. I like the word for word
Why
thing.
is it your first instinct to doubt women who have been sexually violated or raped?
Okay, so she did use the word rape. Okay, so first of all, if people knew what the fuck they were talking about, sexually violated is rape. It's the same fucking thing. Okay, now, I'm going to bring up what the definition of rape is. Okay? Rape means violated. It applies to sex because it's violation of a body or whatever it is. The definition of rape can be applied to stealing, trashing in a place and going in. The term raping and pillaging does not apply to humans in that context. It means to strip the village. When back in days, it meant to strip and pillage everything out of worth in the town or city or whatever. So when you hear, they raped and pillaged, people started applying shit to that wasn't in there. It was just they raped and pillaged villages, period. That means they pillaged the village for all it's worth and then raped it for its resources. That's what that fucking means. People have taken rape and only applied the sexual assault aspect of it. Now, I have something that I'm going to go after near kind of the end of this, which also applies to this. So remember at 7:50 or 1:56 in the video. So it's just interesting how a 3-minute video turns into a 30-minute fucking segment. So here's the thing. The first instinct isn't to believe it or not. First thing I say, first things first. I don't have an idea whether it's a guy or a woman. People somehow just automatically assume. When somebody says it's rape, go fill a police report. Did you file a police report? First thing, did you file a police report? Okay, fine. I don't go after and say somebody did or didn't do something. I say, go get a fucking police report. Now, does that mean I'm not sympathetic? Yeah, but I'm not going to sit and fucking believe somebody that says it. They can be crying their eyes out. I don't know who the fuck they are, and I don't know if they're an actor. I don't know. And as coarse as that to say, too fucking bad. That's what people do. Now, if it comes out that there's a court case, fine, whatever. I don't go aside things. I watch the events unfold. I don't give a shit if somebody says, oh, they're acting like they were raped or they seem credible. I don't fucking follow that because liars are credible as well. Expert witnesses in court are liars because both sides can have an expert witness and say, an expert in the subject that they're talking about, and both sides can have an expert witness or expert, on the subject. And both of them can have two completely different viewpoints. Therefore, one of them is lying. Actors and actresses and people who want attention and everything else will put on a persona. They seem credible. I fucking hate that sentence because what somebody seems has no relevance at this point. It has no relevance what somebody seems. Go fill a fucking police report out, take it to court, do your thing, and let the outcome happen. And if it comes out that they did something, good. You took them to fucking court. But if it doesn't, and nothing happens, then you're a fucking douchebag, period. That's my take on it. The reason we don't believe you is because there's too many false rape allegations, and just the mere accusation of it fucks with somebody while you get off scot-free. Fuck off.
Why do you assume a woman's angry because she's on her period?
I don't even know where that question came from. Why do you think because we eat, we're hungry? It doesn't fucking make any sense. Okay.
Same thing about your dick size.
Okay, so this is another thing I want to bring up, which also has to do.
Because she's on her period. Why do you think the women that wear makeup are false advertising? They can say the same thing about your dick size. Why?
Okay, so I kind of get where this goes, but let me put this into perspective, and I'm going to touch up on something that nobody I have ever seen that addresses these questions answers it with what I'm about to say. Females wearing makeup is a fucking problem when it comes to making yourself appear older than you are. Somebody 14 making themselves look 19, then getting the person fucked over because they were because you portrayed yourself as 19 is a fucking problem. I have a problem not with women wearing makeup. I have a problem with why they're wearing it. I don't give a fuck if you wear makeup. And as far as saying, oh, men, there's a friggin' difference between. Oh, no, actually, I can't say there's a difference. If men are bragging about the size of their cocks, it's in the same fashion that women are putting makeup on. It's because they're trying to portray themselves as something they're not in that context. It's as simple as that. My wife doesn't wear makeup, and the reason why she doesn't wear makeup is because she puts some on, but it's like some jewelry doesn't look good on women. My wife does not look good with big jewelry. She doesn't. It's just the way it is. I don't look good in a fucking striped shirt. My wife thought I did, but I told her I know what looks good on me. I know, if I put a striped shirt on, I fucking look horrible. I look horrible. And so I told her that. She got me one for Christmas, and I said, I'll try it on. So here's the thing. When you're dealing with relationships in general, I knew I looked like shit in that shirt that she got me. Now, here's the thing. I still put it on. And the reason why I put it on was to show her I was right. Not to be, haha, I'm right. But my point is, she tried to do something nice. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, oh, I thought you might look good in it. I says, that's fine, I get that. You didn't know. Because she didn't know. So, I don't look good with my fucking head shaved. Like, some people do. I'm fucking horrible. Like, even though I just don't look good with my head shaved. I know this because I got a whipple one time. It was fucking horrible. I looked horrible. And this is when I was a kid. So, the point here is that I know it looked good. Now, this wasn't an I gotcha moment. This was to show, okay, I really appreciate it, but if you're getting me stripes, you don't really understand I don't look good in them. So I'm going to put this on and show you I don't look good in them. She never got me another striped shirt. She goes, yeah, that doesn't look good on you. I says, I told you. Now, I wasn't humoring her. I was doing it to prove a point that I understand what she was doing, but that's just the way it is. Now, my wife will come to me and ask me, does something look good on her? Everybody's like, you never tell a woman that doesn't look good on her. Yeah, actually, you do. The reason why is because when I tell my wife what looks good on me, like if she asks me what looks good on her, she asks me that all the time, and I tell her yes or no. And the reason why they're like, oh, that's bad. I'm like, no, that's honest. And here's the thing. People are afraid to say it. Sorry, I'm not going to, because I know looks for my wife are important to her. So I'm not going to sit there and tell her something that looks good on her just to appease her, because that's fucked up. And so my wife and I are on the relationship level where we understand that. And so do I look good for my wife sometimes? Yeah, but I don't really have that many nice clothing. And that is because I don't use them. My wife has come to accept that, but she doesn't like it. I understand it bothers her. But at the same time, I'm not going to get nice clothing when I don't have a way to wear them. And I get my clothes a mess. So me having nice clothes, in a sense, would be wasting money. It's that simple. So on a budget, it sucks, and it's not disrespecting her. This is called financial sense. Now, I'm not disguising that as that. It's just, can I look good? Should I look good? Yeah. There are nice clothes. There are some nice clothing that I have. But I'm not going to make that my entire wardrobe. Now, do I want to look good for my wife? Sure. Because I know that's something that's important to her. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit and go out of my way to get all of these things. Now, if we're going out or certain places, I know there's an appearance issue. I will get dressed up. There's no other way around that. I know she likes when I look good. Anybody does. But the thing here, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about now. But here's the thing. Let me see where the fuck I went right off track on that. So yeah, this is the makeup thing. This is about looking good. So the best thing you can do is tell somebody what doesn't look good on them. That sounds fucked up, but it's like if somebody asks you, I'm one of these people that if you don't like what I answer, don't ask the question. I'm not gonna fucking pussyfoot around certain things. Now, it was like, oh, that's rude. No, that's called being honest. That's how the relationship works. And so if you are going to lie about, no matter, in the end, doesn't matter whether you're wearing makeup, doesn't matter whether you're stuffing your bra, doesn't matter whether saying your cock is bigger. In the end, everybody's going to, if you are with somebody, they're going to see regardless. They're going to find out what you look like without makeup on. They're going to find out your cock size. They're going to look and see whether or not your chest is there. That's how it is. That's all it is. So I don't know what the fuck the point of this question was. I have a problem with the makeup because it makes you look older than you are, and that's a legal issue.
Why isn't it weird that there's a bunch of old white men sitting in a room making legislation about what I can and can't do with my body?
Okay. The reason why, well, first of all, it is weird for a bunch of white guys to be in a fucking room. That's weird in general. Because the court system is fucked anyway. Whose gender that is doesn't even fucking matter. The court systems are fucked. I'm sorry, the court system. The voting system in this country has always been fucked. I've been stand clear on that. It's always been fucked. Not just here, but it's always been fucked. And so there's always been a problem with it. I just don't register to vote, period. Now, I don't complain who's in there because it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what anybody does. It's just, the voting system's fucked. Always has been. And so I've been clear about that. And I don't get into what's fucked about it. I'm like, oh, you're saying it's fucked. Yeah, it is fucked. So my point is, putting a bunch of people in the room like this doesn't matter. Your voting doesn't do that. People do this in general because that's what the cabinet is. And so the reason why the legislation does make rules about what you can and can't do with your body is simply because of the laws revolving around the favoring of women in parenting. Child support. Women, when they're caught lying, don't get a punishment. Men do. Women don't have to wind up going to jail. Some women do. But most of the time, when you hear child support, you don't think about a female paying a male. Why? It's the same fucking concept. There are just as many men who have custody of their kids, but it's a lot harder to do. And there are several laws that women have that men don't. It's all fucked up. So why is it weird that old men in a room? It is weird that old men are in a room, but it's not weird that they're making legislation to stop you from fucking manipulating the laws. That needs to be done. And you need to be told certain things that you need to do with your body. You need to. Because you're out of fucking, the system's out of control. You're out of control. Your whole race and gender is out of control because of the manipulation tactics you can weaponize. That's the fucking problem with it. And yeah, it isn't weird that they're doing that. You need to have it done.
Did you have a coochie? Why are straight guys?
It doesn't fucking matter whether I have it. So that comment, if somebody has transgender surgery, yeah, they do.
Why are straight guys so obsessed with lesbians?
Why are straight guys obsessed with lesbians? They're not. But if you ask a guy if they want to watch a straight guy, if they want to watch two females, of course, for the most part, yeah. What do you mean they're obsessed with it? Because we're guys. and here's the thing that a lot of guys try to reply with this. Okay, so there's something on Pornhub. There was a Pornhub statistic where the site keeps track of who's doing what. And apparently, the quote that everybody likes to use is, well, lesbian porn is looked up by more females. Okay, so the problem with that statement is you don't know who's behind the keyboard. There are more female accounts or accounts registered as females looking at that, but that doesn't make the person that made the account a female looking at it. That's just what the site registers. So that argument in itself is weak. The reason why men are obsessed with lesbians or like them is because they're fucking men and they like women. That's how it works. There are some lesbian shit that I find fucking nasty. Like, it's nasty. It's disgusting. Like, I won't get into it, but there's some nasty ass shit that's fucking disgusting. So it's not about the lesbians. It's about the taste in what you have or what your fetish is with lesbians. If that. Okay? There's positions that I will fucking watch lesbians go at, and there are positions that I fucking just, it's fucking disgusting. So it has to do, not the lesbians themselves, it has to do with your preference on porn. People fucking like bondage. I don't understand that, but fucking people are into it. People are into wife swapping. That's kind of fucking weird, but it's a style. I mean, this stuff exists because people are into it. So, I mean, it's a preference issue. Now, fantasy's good. Do you fantasize about this shit? I mean, I read a comment under one of the fucking porn things. It's like, somebody wrote, how the fuck did they word it? They said, I have weird fetishes. Like, I'm into he says, I have a lot of weird shit, but even I don't understand this blackmailing mom shit. Okay, so when it comes to sexual stuff, the average mind works the same way as if you see a criminal. You want to kill them. That's your natural mindset. So when it comes to sex and certain things, there are certain things in your mind that will automatically turn you on or become a draw to or a magnet to it. That's how your human mind works. That's why porn is fantasy. That's why people will fucking go out and act this shit. Like, oh, look, are you fucking retarded? It's an act. It's like watching a movie. Want to watch something bad? Want to watch something bad and see just how fucking hilarious and dumb? Watch the Pornhub Awards. Pornhub Awards really don't have any pornography in them. It's just, oh god, it's fucking horrible. I sat and watched it just to see how dumb it was. It's fucking horrible. Like, as far as, it's so dumb. It's now I present the, it's literally that bad. It's fucking, if you want to watch something really bad, watch that. It's horrible.
How does it feel to get kicked in the balls?
Okay, I'm not even gonna, there's no reason to even address that question. You don't have balls, you have no idea, there's no point in even asking that. How does it feel to get kicked in the balls? Well, it depends on who you're asking. There is an entire section of fucking porn that is dedicated to tying people up and kicking them in the balls. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it, but it is pretty funny to fucking watch. There was one scene I was watching with this Chinese, and it's mainly this Chinese guy. It's fucking ridiculous. He had his hands tied up, and I just found this so fucking funny. I sent this to people. I had my wife watch it. Like, what? I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. Because she kicks him in the fucking balls, and he crouches down, and she's like, stand up. I was like, oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. So it's just, it's so ridiculous because I found it fucking hilarious. I just couldn't stop laughing. There's some shit that goes on in fucking porn that is absolutely fucking hilarious. I'll talk about it afterwards. Let me continue here.
Do you ever get tired of trying to be male?
What kind of question is that? Like, I don't even understand what question that, where did that even come from? Do you ever get tired of being a man? Well, I guess if I did, I'd declare I was a turtle? Like, I don't understand, like, what's the premise of the question? Like, why would you ask that? Do you ever get tired of being yourself? Like, what? The question doesn't even make any sense. Like, like, what is the point to that? That doesn't even make any sense. Equality, here we go.
Why are you so afraid of gender equality?
Why do I deserve?
Okay, hold on. What does that even mean? Why are you afraid of gender equality? What does that even fucking mean? Like, what does that mean? Afraid of gender equality? What does that mean? You can't have gender equality. It's not possible. It doesn't exist. What? Because if gender equality means everybody would be fucking one species, there's no such thing as gender equality. I don't understand that question. It makes no fucking sense.
Why are you so afraid of gender equality?
Why do I deserve to be paid less than you?
In what
Okay, wait a minute. Why do you deserve to be paid less than me? Well, see, these questions are fucking so generic. Why do you deserve to get paid less than me? What does that even mean? If you're doing, see, here's something else about the pay gap, because that's what this kind of leads into, or that's what this leads into. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute, because I think this is further in.
What world does 77 cents equal $1?
In what world does 58 cents equal $1?
Okay, so they don't even know. There's two different variables here. 77 and 67 or 63, whatever the fuck it was. Okay, so yeah, this is all about the pay gap thing. Let me go back here and read this. Hold on. Wait, we'll listen to this.
7 cents equal.
Hold on a second. Okay, equality. So
Why
here
are
we
you
go.
so afraid of gender equality?
Why do I deserve to be paid less than you?
In what world does 77 cents equal $1?
In what world does 58 cents equal $1?
How is that fair? Why are you intimidated by a woman who makes more money than you? That's awesome. More money. Why are
Okay, so all right. So here's the problem with this entire comment. This entire section. In what world does 77 cents equal $1? Whatever world the fucking American currency equates to $1. So case in point, back in the 80s, Canadian money was worth half the value of American money. It was 50 cents for every $1 in America. So the $1 was actually higher in value in Canada as a $1 bill. The exchange was It was 50 cents for $1 in Canada. Then it went up, so it's almost the same now. So in what world does 77 cents equal a dollar? Your world, the people who designed this. The people who came up with, we're not getting paid the same, doesn't even make any sense. Paid the same for what? Why should you get paid less? Is not even it's not a valid question. Paid less, you have to put variables in that in order for that to even be answered. Now, here is something that what I find interesting is that amongst the entire Equality Pay Act, like whatever you want to call it, the gender wage gap or whatever argument anybody wants to use, what I find interesting is that the one common principle that applies as an actual thing to this entire argument, if you're going to use the same job, is raises. You can be doing the same job as somebody else, and if somebody's been there longer and has a raise, they are going to get more than you for the same fucking job, simply because they've been there longer. So that's the one factor that I've never seen anybody in the wage gap argument use. And it's a basic fact. And here's the thing. Making more than you, if somebody's making a penny or 25 cents more than you, that's an irrelevant point. They're making more than you. So what? This is one of the reasons why employers basically tell other employees never to discuss their paychecks or their pay rates or their salaries or whatever you take, or commissions, anything. Any monetary figures you take home with each other. That's the main reason why. Because it causes problems in the workplace, especially when it comes to overtime. Certain businesses have to. There are certain laws in the United States that businesses try to dodge, and they're counting on the employees not knowing this. In the United States, certain categories of work are actually forced under governmental labor laws. This is a government law. This has nothing to do with what the job care. It doesn't matter what the job wants. If you work overtime, it's time and a half. And if you work overtime, it's overtime. If you work more than, you get time and a half. But if you're working on specific days after overtime, it's triple. They have to pay you triple. That's a basic labor. That's a labor law in some categories. Some businesses are exempt from this, so this is where the law comes in. So just because one business does it doesn't mean another one can't. So the point being is that how much you get paid also depends on the job you're doing and so on. But the basic argument here is that why are you getting paid more for the same job without actually taking into account? How do you know they haven't been there longer, they have a raise? So that's my fucking point. Why do we get paid more? It's simply because that's what the job does. I got a raise. Okay, fine. That's your answer. Fuck off.
Afraid of gender equality.
Why do I deserve to be paid less than you?
In what world does 77 cents equal a dollar?
In what world does 58 cents equal a dollar?
How is that fair? Why are you intimidated by a woman who makes more money than you?
Okay, so this is the other part of this argument. This person, where is she? This person right here, after her.
Why do I deserve to be paid less than you?
In what world does 77 cents equal a dollar?
In what world does 58 cents equal a dollar?
Okay, so after they said that, this comment makes no fucking sense. Because you can't have what they just said in the same category. It doesn't work.
How is that fair? Why are you intimidated by a woman who makes more money than you?
Okay, it's not fucking possible for a woman to make more money if you just said you got paid less. That's the argument. So the whole thing here is, as a whole, they just contradicted itself. In what world does 77 cents equal a dollar? In Canada or some other world that does that, and in the world that you guys, whoever created this fucking thing. And if you just said you got paid less, then how can a fucking woman be making more money? That makes no fucking sense. That argument just cripples and cancels itself. So it's rather fucking amusing to watch. All right, so let me continue here. All right.
That's awesome. More money. Why are opinionated women seen as bitches?
Because you are. It's not, your opinion isn't the issue. It's when you cram your opinion in without letting anybody else have their opinion, and you try to end the discussion with your side of things without opening it up. because you're a bitch. It's as simple as that. You're bitching about it.
Opinionated women seen as bitches when opinionated men are seen as bosses.
No. Opinionated men are just as bad. But to fucking try to use the argument, one is called the other, no. You are being a bitch if you fucking, and I'm using that derogatory, if you are cramming, you are being a prick or a dude. No, I call men that use their opinion like that pricks. And a douchebag. I actually use fucking terminologies for anybody that does that. So, this is one of these questions that try to make it seem as though one side is doing it more than the other. Anybody that does that is a fucking douche. But why do we continue? Why in this regard, if you're going to use, I'm going to use the men answering the question for women are asking. The reason why we consider you a bitch is simply because of the way you are acting in society. Go watch a bunch of YouTube videos about what feminists do and then answer that question. Then ask that question again.
Why aren't you speaking up when you hear your male friends behind closed doors make jokes that are offensive to women? Why are you so afraid?
Okay. Here's an answer to this. So let me address this with something interesting.
Male friends behind closed doors make jokes that are offensive to women.
Okay, so first of all, as I've stated, someone being offended is on them. The only way something becomes offensive is if you personally allow it to become offensive. And people could disagree with me all you want. There are things that again. Do you let your most parents will yell at their child for riling them up. It's a base fact. You are letting a 3-year-old rule your emotions by getting on your nerves to the point you have to say something. There are some parents who don't yell at their child, the 3-year-old, and deal with it a different way. That doesn't mean the 3-year-old isn't acting up. The fact of the matter is the people that yell, and I'm guilty of this, are getting themselves allowed to be that way. Because you don't have to yell at somebody. You don't have to yell at your child. There are plenty of examples to do that. That's just what you happen to do in the meantime because that's what works in that regard. Sometimes you're not yelling because it's yelling. Sometimes you're yelling because it's like, hey! That's what gets people attention. It's why cops use loud voices. So, it's an authoritative thing. It's not that you're doing it to be abusive. It's just like that's what gets the attention. And so, why I don't fucking stop people? Because I think it's fucking hilarious, some of the shit that comes out. Usually the shit that comes out of my mouth. In fact, I feed into it. I fucking think it's hilarious. If somebody's talking that way, then that means it's okay to do it. And especially nowadays, why don't we stop people? Because we can't say anything out in public without somebody bitching about it. The reason why we do it is because it's fucking funny. I think it's personally funny, and because I ask these people, why don't you say this shit out in public? It's fucking hilarious. And what we think and find it offensive. The thing here is, we don't give a fuck what you find offensive. I don't. And here's the thing. If you're offended by it, grow the fuck up. If you're in a public space, good. You're not going to you don't dictate to me in a manner that tells me I have to force to your compliance. Fuck off. And I've said this in plenty of videos about everything. Doesn't matter who it is. So here's the thing. When I'm talking about this, I don't have any set gender going through my head. It's just that in general. I don't give a shit if somebody finds something offensive. The reason why is because nothing is offensive. Something is only offensive if you let it be offensive. Period. That's how it works. You can sit and butt by society. Society doesn't make you think. They conform you, and if you let them. But I'm part of society. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way and go up to somebody and call them a fag. I'm just not going to do that. I don't give a fuck. But if you are in a public space, flaunting it off, I will say something because your flaunting it off is asking for fucking problems. Yeah, you're asking for it. Somebody like, oh, they're not asking for it. Yeah, they are. Oh, well, women dress like that's not the same fucking thing. It's not the same thing at all.
Why are you so afraid of recognizing your own language? It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just recognize it and do something about it.
Okay. Wait a minute. So, what did she say about privilege? Hold on one second.
closed doors to women.
Why are you so afraid of recognizing your own privilege?
What does that even mean, afraid of recognizing your own privilege? What the fuck does that mean? Okay, so one thing I want to get out of the way here. Okay, so the term cis white fucking male. Okay, so here's the thing that I find interesting. And I have a problem. Now, I don't want to side. I'm not siding with anybody. I'm stating an actual personal experience that I've been through that constantly happens in certain categories of people, no matter who they are. I fucking despise certain groups of people who are so fucking delusional that they don't understand anything as a reality. So, case in point, I got into a debate with an old pastor in a church that I was in, that he actually threw me out of the church when I confronted him about something and said something that was a fact that he didn't like. And basically, to make a long story short, they were favoring people, and I called them out on it. And the message was, if you see something, say something, pull the person aside. Except this point, at this point, it was the pastor. Now, I'm not bad-mouthing the pastor because I had a lot of fucking problems with this after this. The thing here is that, like the pastor, there's a certain group of people, and you can categorize them. Okay, there's a certain group of people that live in a working space that all have the same mentality. They have jobs, they have, whatever, their kids have jobs, and the people around them have jobs. And if you don't, it's somehow your fucking fault. Despite you not getting the same chances they're given because they don't allow it. Because I've confronted so many fucking people on this. And I think it's funny when people who are in these positions who have these jobs, where they say, well, they tell you what you should be doing, but when you turn around and ask them, okay, why don't you help me get a job then? They refuse to fucking do it. And it's just ridiculous. So the point here is that I don't know what this fucking privilege shit is, but I'm a white person that's never been allowed to get any fucking job to the point where I can actually make a salary on it. Never been. And when I did get in there by somebody who helped me get in, I was kicked out for no fucking reason. And so, everyone's like, well, you're the common factor in this. And then I've had people who don't work with me trying to dictate because they started an argument with me. They purposely said something. And when I tried to confront them calmly, they're like, well, see how you are? I'm like, don't you dare compare this conversation to how I am on a job. Have you ever worked with me on a job? Have you ever known anybody on a job? No. It's at this point where I wish I could just record my day and play it for them to shut them the fuck up. But that won't do anything because they'll just say, well, that's one instance. No, that shit happens in every job. So they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So what I usually do is I will piss somebody off to the fucking point that they shake. Like I did this with somebody, and they were shaking so fucking bad. And I says, I'm glad you're shaking because now you know what it feels like when you talk down to me about stuff you have no idea what you're talking about, and that is how you make me feel. If you feel that way, maybe you should stop doing that to people because I did that to piss you off to the point so you know exactly what it felt like. And so she was mad. She was fucking shaking. Like she was mad. And I says, I don't give a shit if you're mad. You do not go around and dictate something you don't know and then base what you did as the reasoning why you're saying what you're saying. So the point here is this privilege shit is fucking retarded because I'm a white person that has never been given the opportunity to do anything. And it's not like I applied to be a surgeon or something out of my realm. I've even gone so far as to contact companies and shit like it's fucking ridiculous. So I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about. And this is one of these delusional factors where people think because they haven't seen it, it's somehow not real or you're the fucking problem. I cannot count the number of people in a staffing agency and anything else that have had the same problem I did. And then I even went so far as to look over what might be the problem on my end. And I had counselors for staffing. I've had other counselors, actual counselors like therapists and things like that, say there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. But yet, in the working realm, I'm the problem because I can't keep a job. It's fucking ridiculous. So, and I'm sure some of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's why I fucking despise certain working class people. So as far as this privilege goes, there's a lot of shit that a lot of these people, like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and everybody else, they're in fucking la la land because what they're talking about doesn't exist because they have been given the opportunity to do this. They've been allowed to do it. So a job is not relevant unless you're allowed to do it. It's as simple as that. I've gone to school for specific things and still never been allowed to get into the field that I was doing, even though the school had a connection with this place. It was fucking ridiculous. So this whole privilege shit is out of control. It's not a fucking thing. It doesn't exist. And I can actually speak from experience that half of the shit that people are talking about is not true. They're talking from a delusional perspective that they think they know what they're talking about on simply because they have been given the opportunity to do that.
Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just recognize it and do something about it.
Okay. When you're doing something about it, you can only have so much control. You can't make a company hire you. You can't do it. Now maybe you can because of the situation, but you can't make a company hire you. I've always debated that fact. If somebody doesn't like your shoes, you're not getting hired. Period. Doesn't matter what. Well, you got to make the company like you. No, that doesn't work that way. That's not a thing. I don't know. I understand why people say it's not a fucking thing. If a company's not going to hire you, there is nothing you can say or do. And what gets me is people don't even accept that. They're like, oh, that's not real. Yeah, it is. So, okay, so let me continue here. Okay, so this is okay, so let me get into something I wanted to fucking what am I doing here? Browser, okay. So let me get into a situation here where I actually came up with this fucking joke. Okay, now here's the thing. This is back to the fucking the sexual assault allegations. Okay, so I actually made up a rape joke tonight. Okay, now when I tell you this, it's the first thing because if you okay, so if you hear the word rape, the first fucking thing that comes to mind, it's the same. There's one thing that comes to mind, and that's because of the way society is. Okay, and that's the same thing as when I say the word restraining order. The first thing you hear about when you hear restraining order is some male did something to some female. Some people have enough say, okay, but because nowadays it's like, well, that doesn't always happen. But the fact of the matter is, the word restraining order has been brainwashed into people into being one thing only. Despite it's not one thing, it's just what has been focused on to the point that people don't know any better. So, like that, the word rape. Rape doesn't just mean sexual assault, even though that's what it's mainly targeted at, because that's what you don't hear somebody raped a shop. But in reality, if they get all the goods out of it and strip it of its, you violated the shop. That's rape. You raped the shop. So a good example of this is in the movie Hudson Hawk. Bruce Willis and this fat guy is sitting in a car, and the fat guy literally, he goes, they're upstairs, and the fat guy literally replies, want me to go up and rape him? He's not talking about sex. He's talking about going up and stealing shit because Hudson Hawk, he was a thief. So it was just funny to watch. It's just funny to watch how these meanings get ripped out of the actual definitions, and then they put their own thing, and then you just basically brainwashed into one thing. So what I still have to work the kinks out of this, but for the most part, a person goes into the police station and says, hey, I need to file a report because I was raped. The police looks at him and the police says to the person filling the report out, hold on, I got to figure this out. Somebody walks into the police station and says, I need to fill out a rape report. The police says to him, hey, did you like that dildo we used? It's like, I surely took So what happens here is that the rape joke, people will instantly say, "Oh, that's not funny," blah 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 blah. But when you actually hear I said it's about a man, it becomes funny. So first it's offensive, then it's funny. Why? So my point that behind this is, like, the lady, that person said, "Hey, it's like, why is it you don't say anything when you hear, jokes being said?" Because they're fucking hilarious, and I get in on it because we can't say it out in public. The whole factor has been basically made to say that you can't say shit out in public anymore. And so once you can't say it out in public anymore, it becomes a fucking problem. So this brings me to a couple of other problems, and they are problems. Now, here's the thing. This coincides with, don't you find it odd that white guys are in a room? Yeah, I do. I find that very fucking odd. I do. I find that odd because of the way the voting system is, but whatever. But as far as when I said, well, what can I do with my body? No, that fucking needs to be addressed, period. It needs to be addressed. Simply because of the out of control abuse and just bias and unfavoring. It's fucking ridiculous. It's out of control. Now, there are just things that should never be allowed. Okay? So, the whole statement you hear of, well, what's best interest for the child, goes right out the fucking window. When you look at a lot of these cases, you look at how this stuff is set up. Just by default. And so, when you want to talk about the way culture is in general. Okay, so I've always made this a strong standpoint. There's certain things, if it's on video, there's nothing to fucking debate as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a shit what's in there. If you have a recording from the time somebody comes up to whatever incident it is, because I'm not talking about the incidents where people start recording in the middle of the incident after they antagonize the situation to get somebody pissed off, then started recording it, and then saying, well, look at this guy, he's attacking me. You fucking started it, but you didn't show that part of it. So I think those videos need to be fucking thrown out. Those videos should never be allowed to be admitted. With exemptions, okay? If a cop's on video shooting somebody with a gun, like, that's unarmed, that's fucking, that's unexcusable. I don't give a shit what led up to that. Now, the person may have had a gun and dropped it, but if your cop's shooting somebody unarmed, that's fucking inexcusable regardless. But if the cop had a reason to draw his gun, that's a different story. But anyway, that's far and few in between. I'm talking about if you are on camera and you punch somebody and that person punches you back, that's an open and shut case. You walked up to them, you punched them, you have a right to defend yourself, period. Now, here is what a lot of people get uncomfortable with. And I don't give a fuck if they get uncomfortable, because I'm taking the subject matters that people talk about as a whole and I'm using them and applying them in context. So, this equality shit, okay, the term feminism is equality. That's what it means. I don't give a shit what society has changed the definition to. Until it's changed in the dictionary, it doesn't matter what society calls it, because we're going to go by it. We're going to go by this. Let's go by the fucking definition of it. So, equality. Okay? Case in point. There's another thing that I don't do. I don't go by statistics. Okay? Because statistics are made up data. Let me rephrase that. It's data made up from studied data. That means any studies that's not included in that data, it's an unbalanced report. It's as simple as that. That's why I don't go by statistics. I can make a graph say anything, and I don't give a shit how reputable the company is. You can skew your data and then use that. I'm not saying they do, but I'm just saying why I don't follow statistics or graphs or any of that shit. I don't give a fuck if fucking Yale does a study on. Great, I don't give a fuck. Yale's been involved in scandals, so their credibility's shot as far as I'm concerned, and I don't give a shit if it's the same thing. It's the fucking thing in general. If they're being scandalous about one thing, then they're going to be scandalous. Then it doesn't matter. They've already tarnished their reputation. So I don't give a shit if somebody says they're a study of Yale. Another thing I fucking can't stand is when somebody comes out and says, this is a doctor or starts has to do with, this is a scientist of a world credit. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't get, you just, I don't give a shit what your credentials are. If you have something to talk about it. You don't need to establish who the fuck you are. I don't establish me. I'm nobody. I don't have a fucking degree. I studied some criminal justice, but if I look something up, I don't look it up and say, well, here's a statistic. You will see me pull up the .gov laws. I don't pull up laws that are in .com or .net. I pull them up in .gov. The reason why is because that's a governmental extension, and that's a court ruling. Doesn't fucking matter what your opinion is. And that's why people try to argue with me about, or I've had people argue with me about indecent exposure laws when it comes to breastfeeding. People like to cherry pick what they put out there. It's fucking ridiculous. And so the thing that I have is when you're dealing with equality and it's on video that somebody punches you, punch them back, period. Now, there is a line where I draw physical abuse. Like, I don't want to say physical abuse, but like physical contact. Now, I'm one of these people that if you want to yell at me, go right ahead. I may yell back, and I probably will. You want to stand 2 feet from me and yell for my face? Go right ahead. The instant you make contact with me, then you have a fucking problem. Because there's too many videos where you see somebody backing off and then the person that gets on them presses into them. Fuck off. Like, I've seen some of these people, like, if I do something and I get asked to leave a place, that's on me. I have enough common sense to say, yeah, I fucked up, whatever. However, if I see something going out of the way that's wrong, and then I say something, and then you get on me for that, that's a different story. I don't give a shit about what your opinion is on that. And so, like, case in point, I'm one of these people that if you have, like I've seen Walmart, okay? There's videos where somebody was asked to leave Walmart, but the person wouldn't leave. So the store was kind of going around her and trying to prevent her from going to the store. That's fine, because they didn't touch her. The instant that she tried walking up, the manager literally pressed against her. That's when I don't give a shit. You have no gender at that point. You're not a female, you're not a male. You're an assaulted, period. I don't give a shit who the fuck you are. And especially when people nowadays know whatever, martial art, whatever. That's the point where shit ends. And so there's a couple videos because I'm not a fighter. Like, I'm not a professional fighter. I'm an average person, but I know fighting techniques that I know how to do that I wouldn't teach anybody because they're stuff that's in the forgotten realm of whatever. So there's certain things where I know how to throw somebody simply because I just know the knowledge. Now, that's not to say I'm big and bad because there's somebody else who knows more. I'm just saying, in general, some of the information that I have and some of the stuff that was taught to me is not taught in these, it's not taught in MMA, it's not taught in all this other stuff. It's literally forgotten techniques. And I'm not saying that to be a badass. I'm saying it's literal forgotten techniques that it's fucked. So I've watched videos where, like, if that, obviously I wouldn't cause that much of a scene, but if I'm being asked to leave because I won't show my receipt, I will grab my property and I will leave if I paid for it. If I didn't pay for it, that's one thing. But if I'm getting accused of stealing, I will become belligerent in that, to the extent whatever's going on. But if I am now because I'm at the mindset where if you accuse me of stealing or something, and I have the receipt, and you will not let me take my merchandise, I'll go back in the store and take it off the shelf. If you try to stop me from doing that, now you have a problem because as long as you don't touch me, that's fine. I don't give a shit who you are. Except, well, like I said, this becomes a different level with cops because it's a different story. And so, if an employee presses up against me in a store, I will literally throw them into other employees. Simple as that. Like, there's a couple of instances where I can just literally take apart the scenario and you can see exactly what I'm talking about because of the way it is. And it's not, I'm doing that to be a jackass. You touch me, period. So everything was fine until they touched me. So people that are not getting, like, assault charges against them, regardless of who's in the right, anybody that presses up against anybody that does not have an assault charge pressed against them is fucking wrong, period. if you're pressing up against somebody because you're trying to stop them, now you are committing assault. I don't give a shit what your opinion is. Cops are different because they can literally touch you to move you out of a crime scene. That's completely different. A cop can literally restrain you. But another employee of another store, military personnel, any of that shit, if they are in the public like that, no. So the thing here is that, like, I just look at some of these videos and they make me mad because it's like, it's kind of like I wish I was there because, I mean, I don't wish I was there in that regard. I'm saying, man, these fucking people need to stop. You need to stop touching people. That's my point. So it's not to fucking bully people. It's to prove a point that you were okay until you touch me. So until you touch me, when you touch me, you got exactly what you deserve. And I don't want to hear anybody say, well, it's a female. Blah, blah. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you press against somebody like that, you're assaulting them. You are going to get your ass handed to you in that regard. You will be thrown to the ground or thrown into other people because it's like, and you won't even know what fucking hit you. You won't even know what hit you because it's that fast. It's that effective. Now, this isn't to brag. This is just these are just specific techniques that you would never hear simply because of what they are. Like, I taught a technique to somebody that was like, what the fuck? And he goes, why are you showing me this? And he not only didn't think it would work simply because of the way it was done, but he never thought, he's like, why are you showing me this? 2 years later, he came up to me and he says, remember that movie you showed me that I said wouldn't work? Or he didn't think it was going to work? He goes, I did that. And it was like, holy shit. The kid went on his ass and like, the kid did something. And because of the way I told the kid to position his body and do something, it was a weird maneuver. You'd say it doesn't work, but it fucking does. And I explained to him how it worked, and he's like, holy shit, this kid did, it happened exactly as you said it would. I said, yeah, that's because the moves I know are fucked up. And it's not about bragging. It's not about bragging at all. Somebody gets me in a headlock, I'm fucking probably dead. There's no other way around that. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying there's stuff that I know that if I fucking do, it's like, fuck off. So it gets me mad where these fucking people can think that they can touch people without any problems. Yeah, trespassing from the source. So here's the thing where I make the distinction on. And I've been very clear about this, and this is my standpoint. And, like, you'll go to court for this, don't get me wrong. But this is one of the main reasons I don't own a gun. This is another reason why I don't go to these rallies. I don't go to rallies because I can't keep my mouth shut. I cannot keep my mouth shut. I will get in trouble. And if I had a gun, I would be in prison. Not because I'm an asshole, but it's because I fucking hate manipulation. And so there are people who test the cops. So the cops think that they can just fucking do whatever they want, and they usually get away with it. And they do whatever they want for the most part. Some of the stuff is fine. Some of the stuff is out of control. Because if you apply that same scenario to in the police station or on the cop's house, oh no, it's a different story. Fuck off. I don't give a shit who you are. So I've always been always on the standpoint where if somebody does something on manipulation, yeah, you'll go to court. But I literally, like, okay, let me give you a scenario here, because I called into an internet radio show. And Tommy Sotomayor was the person that was doing it. Now, he talks about, he fucking hates black women that are manipulative. He fucking hates them. And he's black. So that's what kind of makes us funny. He's always picking on the shit that these fucking black women, these Jerry Springer black women do. Now, I don't give a shit who you are. If you're being belligerent, you're being belligerent. Doesn't fucking matter. So I called into the radio station, and this was about problems in general about manipulation, because one of the topics they were talking about was, people starting shit. And one of the subject matter that came up at that time, or I brought it up or something like that, was cops being manipulative. I fucking hate manipulation. Now, when I was talking to the audience, I says, one of the problems when I say the audience, I was talking on the show to the audience. And so what I said was, what I do is my own business. If I do something and I get tased by the cops for no reason, that's on me. I'm not going to fucking go out and cause a problem and say, oh, no, he tased me. I'm not going to. That's on me. I'm a dumbass. I did it. However, if I get tased for no reason, that becomes a fucking problem. Now I have a vendetta. And I have a vendetta not just because it's a vendetta, But the whole synopsis here that I'm making was that the reason a lot of shit goes on in this country is because people have been brainwashed by terror or fear of retaliation with what happens if they retaliate. So it sends the message out that it's okay to do. So I compare this to gaming. I've said this in gaming a lot. When you hear somebody say something in gaming, the game developers don't do anything. That's because they fucking don't. However, it doesn't change the fact that if gaming as a whole, think about this. How gaming is now, but let's take that back and you go back to when the beginning of online gaming has. If online gaming has applied its consequences in accordance to the TOS and actually removed people that were literally going around starting shit in chat, you wouldn't hear, nothing's going to happen. People would know something was happening because there'd be a consequence for doing it because the consequence would have been being applied this entire time. It wouldn't stop people, but the message would be clear that if you do something, you are going to have something done to you. So in that regard, it's like, it sends the message that it's okay to do. In that regard, the cops go out and there's been no retaliation. Now that doesn't stop the cops from doing it, but there's no message being, you have to send a message stating, yeah, we know you're going to do this, and if you do, there's going to be consequences for your actions. So it wouldn't be, like, if somebody got tased for no reason, and they did something back, and that happened every single time, it would still happen, but what would happen is the cop would get it in return. And so what I said to people is, if I do something to get tased, that's on me. I'm an asshole. I got exactly what I deserve. I have no business bitching. If I am tased for no reason, that changes the dynamic of it. Sure, I may fall down, have a seizure, piss my pants, or whatever. The first thing I do when I'm getting out of jail is I'm going to find out where that motherfucker lives. I'm going to get a taser, and I'm going to fucking hide in his bushes or wherever it takes so he can't see me, and wait till he walks out, and I'm going to fucking taser him back. And this isn't for a vendetta. It's not because I'm doing it to be a jackass. It's not vigilanteism, if you want to look at it. Yeah. This has to do with principle. Fuck you. You are not going to do this shit and get away with it. Fuck off. You don't get to fucking do things because you think you can and the law's, but fuck off. The law may protect you, but it's not going to protect you from the individual that gets it. Now, I told people, any idiot can go out and do something. I said, that's me. That's how I would do things. Now, what happens here is people are like, why don't you just go to court? That's fucking irrelevant. That's an irrelevant thing. The damage has already been done. You have to send a message that if you fucking taser people for no reason at all, you are going to get retaliation against you by these fucking people. Court is an irrelevant point. The point here is you need to be taught a fucking lesson that just because you can do this shit, that doesn't give you the fucking authorization to do it. You have to have a fucking reason. Now, I'm not saying everybody should go out and do that, but I'm saying, as you notice, this premise I set up, it's getting revenge for a message. It's not getting revenge because they're a cop, because it's getting revenge because they're a douchebag and they got away with it for no fucking reason. And even if it's on camera 90% of the time, they're not going to get it. They're not going to have anything happen. So that sets the precedence that it's okay to do. After I got off of there, he continued talking, and the guy says, you know what? He's right. And he goes, I could tell he's white, and I could hear it in his voice that he would actually fucking do that. I could hear it in his voice. And this is the thing. The whole problem with this court system, and I'll be honest, like if I did this, if I owned a gun, I would be in prison simply because I would shoot a cop in the fucking head. See, I know they wear bulletproof vests, so when I shoot a gun, or when you shoot a gun, or the first thing you're told to shoot a gun, is there's no warning shots. A gun's purpose is to end the life of something living. That's what it is. And so that's why cops are never fire warning shots. They're not supposed to fire out of moving cars. They're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to fire guns in the air or anything else. That's all criminal. That's all a felony. You're not supposed to be doing that. And so the people that are doing this, and so you see videos of cops going on people's property, and then they're told to leave because they don't have a warrant, and then more cops show up. That's an antagonistic situation. Think about if you tried to do that in a police station or on the cops, you'd be fucking thrown in prison. The only way to deal with this prick is to send a message. So if they're on your property and you tell them to get off, I always tell people, like I said, if I had a gun, I'd be in fucking prison if this shit happened. I would, because I know cops wear bulletproof vests. That does not make their head immune to a shot. So if I shoot somebody, it's in the fucking head. You don't have protection. You're fucking done. And so, and this is my point. This is why I don't own a gun and I don't go to these rallies, because this is how I get. The only way for me to remain non-dangerous is to not have this shit. I don't put myself in that situation to begin with. And that's the difference between me and a bunch of people. I get pissed off at this. I know how I get, and I know how I am. Because if I was at a rally and I saw a cop on somebody else, I would fucking literally, if another cop started to get involved, I would literally body check the cop off of them. And I honestly, in this day and age in society, I think that's more than justified. So everybody's like, you can't hit cops. Yeah, you fucking can. When all these situations are arising, yes, you absolutely fucking can. And I think anybody that doesn't get that has something wrong with them. And so there's just things like if you're on camera, and I'll get to my point to the equality thing in a minute, but it's like if I was in jail after getting tasered or whatever it is, and then I tasered that cop back, and then I would go to court for that again, I would look at the judge, and the judge would say, you do it again? If he does it to me, yeah, because I don't consider a cop anymore once they do something that violates their oath. Because the standpoint that I have is what makes a cop is the oath that they took. Not the badge, not the gun, not the uniform. It's the oath they took. As soon as you violate that oath, you're breaking a contract. You're no longer law enforcement. So in other words, in a court case where that has happened, if I was the defendant or whatever it was on the jury or whatever, I don't care. I would not be listening, or I would say listening. What I'm saying is I would not use or think about the cop as a cop anymore. They're now an armed assailant. They're no longer. I wouldn't say, did you assault this officer? No, you didn't assault the officer, because as soon as they broke their oath, they're no longer an officer. Now they're an armed thug. That's how I look at it. That doesn't make it right, but I'm saying that's how I look at it. And so that's the mindset I have. Now, back to this equality thing. If you are on camera from the moment it starts till something leads up to something, and it's on camera where the person punches you when you punch them back, the person that punched you got exactly what they deserve, and you should give a fucking medal for that. Now, how does that fit into the equality? People have this problem where men hit women. I don't. I just don't. And I came up with a few scenarios to show this. Now, this isn't me being callous. This is just me. I don't have a fucking problem with it. If you want equality, you're going to get it. Simple as that. You don't get to cherry pick what your equality is. Now, what I'm talking about may piss people off, but let me throw a couple of scenarios at you. Okay, so scenario one. A male walks up to a female and an argument breaks out, and the male clocks the female because she pushes him and he punches her. Now, what's interesting is the way your mindset works until I tell you that the female was a cop. For some reason, they're no longer female at that, they're a cop. They may be a female cop, but somehow there's a different standard. Okay, so now let me bring this up in a different manner, because here's scenario number two. Okay, so you have scenario number two, where a female walks up to a guy. Same situation. The female pushes the male hits the girl back. Now, what's going through your head is, since they're not a cop, now I'm not talking about this female was not a cop. Let's put it that way. So, same scenario. Now your mind's thinking, what the fuck? Until I tell you that female was in the army. My point is that the scenario changes depending on your viewpoint of things simply because you have other stuff ingrained in your head. You do not look at a female cop the same way you would a civilian. You do not look at a female military personnel in the army the same way you would a cop or a female civilian. Doesn't matter, they're still female. Why is the dynamic change based on that? Now, if that was, here's a third scenario I just came up with now. Okay, same scenario. The male punches the female. Okay. I can actually give you a scenario where that's okay. Case in point, the UFC fighting. The males wanted to be female. They got in the ring with females, and they wheeled the fuck out of them. And in an interview that Crowder had, or one of the videos that Steven Crowder said, was that, or it was Joe Rogan, I think. It was one of the two. What happened was the female says, "Oh man, I've never been punched like that." And the reply was, "Of course you've never been punched like that. You've never been fighting a man." And this is a problem in that. Because if you want equality, you don't get to cherry pick what's going on. So I specifically use punching and fighting as that example, simply because that's a subject matter people don't want to talk about. But guess what? When you see two men fighting, it's fucking irrelevant. When you see two females fighting, it's fucking irrelevant. Why does it become different when a male's fighting a female? Why does that become any fucking different? Especially when I laid out the scenarios to you. It's an uncomfortable subject matter, but that doesn't change the facts. So if you want equality, that's it. It's how it works. And you don't get the luxury of choosing what you want to be equal. You just don't. Now, equality can't exist between male or female, because I came up with another scenario. If anybody wants to argue, if you ever want an ended argument about gender, there's two things you can do. Anybody that wants to argue gender doesn't exist, they better not get caught using the phrase gendered language, and they better not be caught using the phrase trans male or female. And here is why. If gender doesn't exist, and it's a social construct, then there's no such thing as gendered language. It's not a thing. If they want to argue that point, then what you have to do is argue the fact, if they're going to try to say gender doesn't exist while using a trans male or trans female argument, then that means you have to acknowledge gender exists, because you cannot have the opposite unless the opposite exists. So by saying trans man or trans female, you are actually acknowledging the opposite sex, because that is coming from the opposite sex. So to have the argument about I am trans male or trans female means you are identifying gender as an actual existence, because your entire trans man or trans female is based on the sole fact that you have to have the opposite gender in the first place in order for you to make that statement. So anybody that wants to have those two arguments, you can actually bring that up. And anybody says that's not a valid argument is a fucking moron, because you can't have one. You can't acknowledge trans man unless you acknowledge there is a female or a male. You can't. It's not impossible. It's impossible to do. So, I mean, that's my whole thing on this. Now, I talked about some very nasty shit in this. Of course. Okay, that's fine. Now, one of the other problems I have that's a reality, and what has to happen, and again, I've said this. When people go, "Oh, I have a right to privilege," somebody needs to stand up and tell you, "Fuck off, no you don't." See, the thing here is, and again, I've said this countless times. I've said this countless times. I'm going to use Twitter as an example. There are so many fucktards on Twitter. We all know Twitter is a cesspool, okay? However, that does not change the fact that even though it's a small percentage of people complaining, it's enough to change the outcome of something. It's like the NRA. People think the NRA is this big organization. It's not. The NRA has, I think, less than 10,000 members in the United States or something like that. Like actual NRA members. I'm not talking about people who carry gun cards. I'm talking about like the actual NRA. And so, because you can represent the NRA, that doesn't mean you're in the NRA. It's kind of fucking weird how that works. But anyway, the NRA is not as big of an organization as it comes across to be. The only reason that the NRA gets shit done is because they have a loud enough voice to change something. As soon as they got gun control, they're a powerful organization with a few people. Now, when you have a crowd like the crowd on Twitter is the same way. It's a small fraction of shit, but they do impact things. So what has to happen here is that the people that are crying out have a right to cry out. Okay, that's just the way it is. Okay, you can't say they don't, despite what you disliking them. It sucks, and that's not a problem with the people. The actual problem that comes from cancellation are the fucking morons that roll over for the crybabies. It's like if you do not give in to your kid crying because they want candy, why are you caving to these fucktards that are pissing and moaning, oh, you're hurt my fucking feelings? The problem isn't the people pissing and moaning. This is like the problem isn't the lawyers in the courtroom. The lawyers are supposed to poke holes in these cases. That's what their job is to do. The problem is the judges that are actually okaying the problem. So the problem isn't the lawyers, as people say, oh, your lawyer sucks. The lawyer did this. Blah, blah, blah. You have to look at the final thing. The judge is the one that makes the call on that, period. Now, the judge is going to do it in accordance to the law, but that doesn't change the fact that the judge has to say, and the judge can say, this is fucking stupid, get the fuck out of here, as in with a lot of cases that have happened. The fucking assholes that are in these corporations, that are rolling over for these fucktards, are a problem. They're the same thing as the judges. The problem is actually the person rolling over for these people. So, in that regard, now, I've done a lot of bitching, but as I usually do, I always like to propose solutions. So I'm going to propose a couple of solutions to some serious fucking problems. That doesn't even take, this is not really any in-depth thought. This is just a common sense principle used to combat this fucked up thinking. So, first thing I wanted to get out of the way is rape act. Any type of sexual assault allegations. Here is what needs to happen, or should have been happening. I don't give a fuck what anybody on social media says. If you attack somebody on social media, and you work for a company, if you work for a company and you attack somebody on social media because some shit happened in the workplace, you should be fucking fired, period, because you shouldn't be getting involved in that. That's not for you to be doing. To be honest with you, workplaces, well, let me back up. So, if you take a look at the structure of the way these accusations fall, I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about the legal end of this and what these fucking jackasses in these schools and shit do. If you take a look at the aspect of it, number one, they just believe the person. Number two, they kick the person that the accusation is out. I'll use school as an example. All right, so let me use a school. In a school, cases, these are actual cases. Some girl accused some guy of rape, and that was it. The kid was kicked out of school. The school separated himself from the kid. The kid had his scholarship, his academics, and everything else revoked on the accusation. There's no facts presented. It was just all done ahead of time. Shoot first, ask questions later. And then it come to find out that the person fucking lied. Really. So that's the reality of it. When that shit happens, okay, the court system needs to step in, and this is what needs to happen. I don't even give a shit what a private company does. There needs to be a law in place that states once an accusation is made, there can be no disciplinary action against an individual unless it's proven in a court of law that they did something. Furthermore, the person that made the accusation, if it comes out to be false, needs to be put in fucking prison for 10 years. Period. So this bullshit about stripping somebody and shoot first and ask questions later policy needs to fucking be abolished, and that needs to be a criminal act. Okay, that needs to be considered a felony if that happens. And so, like I said, what needs to happen is the person that's getting accused and the accuser both need to be removed from the situation. So in other words, if somebody's going to accuse somebody, the accuser also needs to be fucking put in isolation. The accuser doesn't get away with the shit after making an accusation. fuck off. Now, once that happens, no action by the school, and this is school, applies to work too, no action at all should be taken by the school whatsoever until a court case is heard. If a court case is not heard, both of them need to get reinstated, and any drama revolving around that person, any student doing it, should be fucking suspended because it was never court tried. Anybody that says it was after the deed, why did you remove them? We have no fucking proof. End of discussion. No more talking about it, and get your shit back together. Now, on the flip side of that, let's take a current situation where the person was destroyed, they had their lives destroyed, and everything else. Once the person was found out, what needs to be happened is the person needs to be compensated for what happened. Number one, they need to be reinstated in school and their academics restored to the point they were beforehand. There should not be any underlying consequences. The person should be reinstated fully with everything as if nothing happened. And anybody caught trying to say something shouldn't be fucking suspended from that school, period. Because the person that fucking lied needs to have their life destroyed, period. Now, if it did come out that, well, I'll get to the false reporting in a minute. But my point is that in this particular case, it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to see. If you strip the person before they fucking even had a fair hearing, then why can't you reinstate them afterwards and restore their record? How is that fucking any different? You want to take it from them, but you don't want to restore it. Fuck off. In that case, both of them should be removed until it's done, and then it's found out in a court of law. If no court case is filed, then both of them go back to normal. That's it. It's done. Now, I'm not saying that anything did or didn't happen. Now, something should only be done and strip the person of their academics and anything else if they were found to be guilty in a court of law. That's a different story. But this accusation bullshit needs to become a felony. If somebody's going to take action without going to court. Sorry, it just fucking does. Again, that doesn't take any rocket scientist to see. It just doesn't. So, and honestly, you know, I honestly, this is just me. If somebody false allegates you and it wrecks your life, you get the right to beat the living fuck out of that person. That's me. But there's too much bullshit involved with this that doesn't need to go on. It's fucking out of control. And so it needs to fucking stop. And again, that doesn't take any common sense. That's just common sense. Why this is even allowed is fucked up. It's ridiculous. So one of the things that I was going to discuss is no, I think legally the person needs to have their ass fucking beat. If the person that made a false allegation, they should be beat to a fucking bloody pulp until they're fucking retarded. They really should. Because that is literally the equivalency of what you did to this person. When somebody, if I owned a company, okay, and all right, so let me say something else that needs to fucking be illegal. Anybody basing, all right, if you run a company, all right, and I've been a strong standpoint on this. If you run a company, okay, and you have to go to Twitter, and when I say go to Twitter, I don't mean you look up what happens on Twitter. I'm talking about when you allow Twitter, that's a better word, when you allow people on Twitter to dictate whether or not you should fire somebody, you have no business running the company. This is the same thing as when I tell people, you don't need a moderator to moderate your streams. If people can't fucking use ignore, then they have no business running a stream. I don't give a fuck who you are. So the thing here is that any company that allows the mob on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or where else to dictate for you to fire somebody, and then you fire that person, you need to be put in prison for a fucking year for allowing that. You should. There needs to be a consequence attached to all this shit. There needs to be. There just does. Here's a perfect scenario. If I block and put a bike lock or a chain lock or whatever on somebody's business, like I'm talking their business, like their actual business, like a door or store. If they have a store and then I go there and I put a chain on their door so they cannot get into their work, that's illegal. It's actually a felony, I think. However, destroying somebody's life over Twitter because they dug up some tweet or whatever it is to the point where social media gets involved to the point where they actually just cripple the person so the person can't get to work, it's the same fucking thing. You've crippled their way to make money. Period. And you did it maliciously and purposely. It's the same exact thing as putting a lock on somebody's door so they can't get into their own business. Same thing. It's literally the same thing. I don't agree with this. So my point is, the owner of the company should be by law stripped out of his fucking position in the company. If you have to allow Twitter. So like if I owned a company and somebody said some tweet on there and then I got Twitter people calling me up, I'd say, shut the fuck up, you nigger, and hang up. I'd say whatever phrase they were saying that they brought up this person. Because what happens here is a lot of companies actually don't even allow social media when you're attached to the job. Never mind off the job. You're not even allowed to have it while you're working for the company, period. Even on your off time. Simply because it stops this problem. So it shouldn't be stopped while you're out of work. That's where I draw the line. However, anybody that says something off of work and you work for a company is not fucking relevant. I get the concept, but it doesn't matter. If somebody wants to use the word nigger 100 times or say something racist or whatever, that's an irrelevant point on the job. I don't care. I wouldn't care what people did. I'm not going to sit there and fire somebody who comes to work every day. Unless it's an extreme example. Like, if this person said, I'm going to go out and get an AK-47 and shoot all fucking midgets, that would be a little disturbing and be a little bit different. That's a concern because that's an actual, threat. But if somebody's going to use the word nigger, I wouldn't care. I don't care. You know why? Because them using that word has no context to them coming to work. It just doesn't. So this whole fucking stupid shit goes on. Now, what happens behind the scenes that most people don't know is that a company can say no, fine. They can say, no, I'm not going to fire this person. But what happens is the social media, because they have such a voice, they literally target the person's business and cripple their business. In that regard, Twitter should be held accountable and needs to be fined for fucking with somebody's business because that is actually blackmail. That's blackmail and extortion on a fucking large, I don't want to say extortion, but it's basically blackmail. It's not basically, it is. You either fire this person or we're going to destroy your business. That's fucking theft. That's illegal. That's a fucking crime. So I don't understand why the court system needs to step in and say, you want to use Twitter, fine. You're not going to use it for malicious purposes. You're just not. If somebody says the word nigger, great. Deal with it. Block them. Whatever. But you're not going to fucking destroy somebody's business because somebody says some fucking bad words. Fuck off. And that's what I'm saying. These people need to be told to fuck off. And like I said, to get their way, they say if you don't get rid of this person, we're gonna come for your business. That's blackmail, and that's point blank malicious. Here's the thing. If you all right, let me go over this something you just said here. It might upset the customers. Yeah, it might. Want me to tell you something? I'll bring this up to speed for you to understand. Let me ask you a question. Do you know all the shit that Bethesda did? All the shit that Bethesda did. Pissed off their customers. Bethesda literally fucked with their customer base. This isn't even about Twitter. They literally fucked with their customer base. Not once, not twice, but consistently. Consistently. And it's not just on the games. It's on the actual products of the stuff too. Guess what? No matter what they do, they make Elder Scrolls 6, people are going to buy it. Doesn't fucking matter what they did. So you're pissing off the customers in that regard. Doesn't matter. In the end, people are going to go with it simply because that's the only place they get it. So if you put, my point is, you provide a product to somebody, it doesn't fucking matter. So here's an example. All right. When people complained about Gone with the Wind, it was removed from Netflix or something like that. It was removed from HBO or something. It was removed from a service. It was removed from a streaming service. You know what that did? All that did was cost the business that removed it money. Because here's the crowd complaining, all right, we'll remove it. Guess what? The best thing that ever happened, or the best thing that somebody said I ever heard about this was, yeah, he thinks he was doing something by caving to the crowd. All he did was he hurt his business because guess what? Oh, since you're not going to show Gone with the Wind, let's go fucking watch it on another streaming service. What did this guy think? Or what did the owner, I think it was, I can't remember, I think it was Netflix. What was the owner of Netflix fucking thinking when they caved to that? These people just literally went somewhere else and watched it. They gave all of that business to somebody else, even though there was a mass crowd complaining. So as far as it might upset the customers, don't fucking matter. In the end, it doesn't matter. So I have this person on fucking, there's this person on Discord who fucking hates me. And I don't mean they hate me. Like, they fucking despise me. They are literally going out of their way to try to get people to come after me. So what they did was they posted my, let's talk about the word nigger video, on the Black Lives Matter. He literally posted it and said, look at this guy, slandered a bunch of things, and I'm not worried about it. You know why? Because I don't give a shit. I'm still going to make my videos. And as long as I'm not in contact with him on Discord, even if I was, I don't care. And as much as this is, he's not going to stop me from making videos. He's not, because I don't give a shit. If he wants to do that, let him. The thing here is, I'm not going to get canceled because I'm not going to let myself get canceled. In a couple days, he's the only one with a fucking problem with this. Nobody else is. I'm still going to make my videos, still going to go on. I'm still going to have the same viewer base. People are still going to watch me or they're not. I don't make my videos for people to watch. I've already said this countless times. I don't tag my videos. I don't announce them. And that's it. If you find me, you find me. And you never, ever, ever hear me say in any video at the end or beginning on any of my YouTube channels that I have or I run, and one I run with my wife, you never hear me say subscribe to me, ever. You just don't. And there's a reason for that. Now, I've had people, and I've addressed this in another video, I've had people tell me, it's like, well, you should make your content, more this or more that. Okay, great. I'll take that as a consideration, but I'm not going to do it. And I explained, this channel is the way it is. You don't like it, don't fucking watch it. It's that simple. I am not going to change what I do. So the thing I find very interesting about most YouTubers, and this is a fuck, because I say it how it is. I mean, you get pissed off, I don't give a fuck. I only say shit. I repeat a lot of stuff that's already been said. I just formulate the context to reflect the same thing. But people get pissed off. I'm like, you're not getting pissed off at me. You're getting pissed off at yourself because I'm literally stating what you're doing and you're saying, you're a problem with it. I'm talking about you. Or, not you, but just in general. So one of the things I find extremely interesting is, and you can look this up, you can find videos on, Rich from Review Tech USA said this and a few other people. Look up videos about Barbra Streisand effect. You will hear all of these YouTubers talking about this, saying, hey, and I've actually said this in another video near the end, but they will say, this person said, stop talking about me. And they're like, what do you think was going to happen? As soon as you say don't do something, people are going to go do it just because you said don't do it. That's how the internet operates. Every YouTuber about the Barbara Streisand effect says that same thing. And yet, on their same channels, they have another video talking about how people went to harass people. And I'm going to focus on the subject matter. But do me a favor, guys. Don't go to this person's YouTube channel and harass them. What? You just made a segment, or you have a segment on your channel, the Barbara Streisand effect, and you're basically telling somebody, well, you said don't go do it, and you got what you deserved. And then you're telling people, don't go put hate comments on somebody's channel. No, you're a hypocritical asshole. That was actually in my YouTube, I think that was in my YouTube video. YouTubers are hypocrites, because they fucking are. They say one thing and then they do another, and they think because they're saying something, it's going to matter. No, when you tell somebody, if you have a structured video on your channel saying the Barbara Streisand effect, and you're literally blaming somebody for having comments come at them because they said don't contact them, and then you have a video stating, don't go to these channels, guys. You're going to have people going to their channel despite you saying it simply because you made a video on the Barbara Streisand effect. It's fucking unreal, the stupidity of these fucking people. And this is another reason why people don't like me. It's because I say it how it is. It's the same fucking thing. You cannot have it both ways. And I say what needs to be said in the manner it needs to be said in. And that's not an opinion. Some people are so fucking thick-headed, you have to yell at them. You have to. And so, I don't think anybody argues with what I'm talking about. They may argue how I present it, but fuck them. If you want to present something, if you want to present my information, go ahead. Do it on your own channel. It's not going to change the way I do things because I'm not going to change what I do. And that's like one of the people that made the, people always make a comment about my age. Nobody knows my fucking age. I've never mentioned it. Even if you're right, you'll never know. I don't discuss my age. So when people say, well, here's a 30-year-old, or here's a 50-year-old, or here's a 55-year-old, or here's a grown man, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what I am. You cannot, you can say whatever it is you want. It's not going to change facts. Because again, most of the stuff that I talk about, yeah, I know what you're saying. Right, exactly. Now, I don't watch PewDiePie at all. I've never seen any of his videos, and every time I watch his name, I won't watch him. This is why I don't watch PewDiePie. This is the exact reason why I don't watch him. Because there was a video where he literally did this at the beginning. Hi, PewDiePie. I'm like, this guy's a fag. I'm not watching him. And I haven't watched him since. My opinion of him doesn't matter. That's why I don't watch him. It's because of that video. That's the very first thing. It's PewDiePie. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. You sound gay. Shut the fuck up. And so it's just funny. I don't care if he has the biggest following on YouTube. I don't care. He has no business criticizing anybody because that's another pet peeve of mine that fucking YouTubers do. One thing YouTubers do is they will do something and then tell people not. They will do something and go against their own principle. And again, this is in I think, the video, YouTubers are hypocrites, where I point out that people state, keep true to yourself, make the types of videos you want, and enjoy. And then they, in the same sentence, tell people to stop making apology videos. What? Make up your fucking mind. You can't have it both ways. This is, again, another one where one thing I pointed out is where I have a video called Rule Breakers Are Not Saviors. Stop portraying them as one. Go watch that video because that'll make perfect sense to you as well. Because, again, that had to do with FaZe being banned from Twitch for using an aimbot. And people say, yeah, he should have been banned because he's cheating online. He shouldn't be held to a higher standard. Something should happen to him. And yet these fuckers are basically defending that people should not have gotten banned from Fallout 76 because they're using cheats in a game to try to help the company and then acting like they're justified using cheats when they just got done saying people who fucking cheat in games should be banned. It's not a two-way, it's fucking unreal, the stuff that YouTubers do. So, again, this is why I always tell people, my channel says it how it is. I will pull comparisons out where you can't really argue without being stupid. You cannot argue with the stuff I say without sounding dumb. That's the way I formulate my stuff. You can fucking argue with me, but most of the stuff I say is stuff that has already been said. I am just putting it into full context. Because again, the way I look at games is a prime example of why nobody can duplicate my channel. Nobody can. They may be able to duplicate parts of it, but if you're going to duplicate my gaming stuff, you can't. Like, it's impossible to duplicate my gaming, the stuff I pick out of gaming. It's not even possible. Because you would have to see the games the way I do, and nobody can. Because I will, if you take a look at my videos, the shit I pointed out is in fact a fact. Because I have this is what amazes me. People are like, oh, you know what you're talking about. That's not true. I have the fucking game open. That's like me reading a book. That's like me reading this off of this page. Common sense used to combat irrational thinking. That's not the name of the video. You didn't have that in the video. That doesn't exist. It says it right on the fucking screen and I'm reading it. It's the same concept of when I tell people about, something in a game. I have it open. You can't argue with it without sounding fucking dumb because I'm reading it on, I have it open. And I will take comparisons out and I will put them in that you can't argue with. And so, yeah, some of it is babbling and some of it's fucking dumb, but this is what my channel does. It's for this stuff. This is what this does. So Ben Shapiro said it best. And he has a point as far as when you are debating somebody and they invite you to go on a place, you don't have an issue going on there. But when they set the narrative up where they're gonna say, well, they're setting situations up. If you fucking think you can talk to the other side, there's something fucking wrong with you. You're just gonna wind up in an argument. So when they say, well, this, and this, Ben Shapiro says the proper reply to that is not to go on their show. The proper reply is you're an asshole, period. And it's right. It's true because when you start trying to put logic to some of the shit that these people are saying, there is no logic to it. There's none. There's no fucking logic to this at all. And so a lot of people, like I said, may not like what I have to say, but fuck them. What are you going to do? Argue with what I'm saying? A lot of everything I say is not an opinion. It's a fact. Because if you notice, again, when I argue laws or when I talk about, what I did, that's why I made a video explaining how I took ZeniMax Media online to court. If you notice in the video, I said, this isn't law advice. This isn't a legal issue. This is how I particularly had to go about doing this. So I laid out the structure of what I had, what I did, how I did it. I never said it was easy. I never said anything, but I explained the reasons for why I did what I did. I knew how to look stuff up and things like that. That's all. So, and even if I didn't pull up the law, I try to use the actual laws when I'm talking about legal stuff. Like I'll pull it up and read it, and I'll do research on it. And I will even go so far as to say, hey, an amendment to this law might be here, so go make sure you look at it. Don't just take this at face value, but this is what it says for now. There may be an amendment, blah, blah. You can find the amendment in, Black's Law Book, which is tucked in the front of the, which is basically Black's Law Bible. Black's Law Book, or Black's Law, is a law book with all the revisions to the current laws in them. So that's really what it is. So you make sure you always look up that current vision when you're doing laws. But the fact of the matter is, I knew how to go about attacking the court. I knew how to go about formulating the case itself. Like I knew what to do in that specific instance. So again, a lot of people are like, well, you just took them to court. It wasn't just what I took them to court for. So like, for example, when you deal with, when you hear the McDonald's thing, the lady took to McDonald's, she sued them over a hot cup of coffee. That's not what the court case was about. That's not what it was about at all. If you actually look it up, it was mislabeling products and stuff like that. It had to do with advertising. And so that's where that came in. So most people, they just listen to shit. They don't realize what the stuff was about. But that's pretty much what the law was. That's what they went at. That's what they structured their argument around. So when people are like, oh, you can't touch the terms of service. In my court case to ZeniMax, I never touched the terms of service. My argument wasn't a terms of service argument. Theirs was. But my argument went out of bounds. You'll never get them on the terms of service. That's not what I argued with them about. And neither was it about with Steam. That wasn't what my argument with Steam was either. So, It's kind of like weird how that whole thing played out. But the point here is that there's just some stuff that needs in law that needs to be put into place where these people just need to be told to fuck off. No, you're not getting away with that, and that's it, because that's illegal. That needs to be put on the books, and these companies need to be held to the standard, and that's it. It's that simple. And like I said, I mean, when you got cops getting away with shit, and I've said this, a bunch. I will say, I talked to a bunch of cops. They're good, but I've talked to some assholes too. I've had confrontations with both. Now, I've said, and as fucked up as this sounds, cops that were getting shot in that incident where this guy was shooting them, they got what they fucking deserved. I'm sorry, they did. And here is why I say that. As cold as the statement as that is, the reason why I say that, I'm not saying the act itself was good, but I'm saying the reason that it happening, they got what they deserved. Because the reason that was used is because and this is why I say I equal things out, because I start bringing up points of view and arguments that nobody kind of pays attention to. So one of the things I discussed is that, and I say this strongly, cops will lump criminals together even if they're not in the same vicinity, like, for example, being in a gang. Cops label them, you're part of the gang, you're part of the problem, you're just as guilty by association. Okay, that's fine. What happened with some of these cops, not a lot of them, but what happened with some of the cop shootings is the cops that were shooting other people gave cops a bad name, and somebody got fucking sick of it. They lumped them all together and said, you are part of the fucking problem, even if they're not even in the same state. Gang members are not even in the same town when this shit happens, but the cops still go after them anyway. Now, I'm not defending gang members by any means. I'm saying the concept that they're using is the exact same concept. So my point is when cops do it, it's somehow okay. Fuck off. If cops are going to do that to them, then the cops can have that shit happen to them. That's how it works. And they got what they deserved because people got sick and tired of the cops lumping people together. So in that regard, it kind of needed to happen because it sent the message that you can't just fucking do this to people. And it's unfortunate that innocent people got caught in the crossfire, but they do it to others. It's the same concept. It's like it makes no fucking sense. This is a war, and they're at war with people. You shouldn't be at war with your own country. You just shouldn't, and that's a fucking problem. So, in that regard, I think I'm going to end this stream. It's been a while, so I don't even know how long I've been going on for. Holy shit, I've been fucking babbling. But that's it. So I'm going to end this and just say, yeah, I covered some controversial stuff in this, but hey, that's just the way that works. And I don't pull punches. That's it. So like I said, my channel is the way it is. Or I should say this channel is the way it is. And that's it. So that's it for this edition of Common Sense Used to Combat Irrational Thinking. And so I'm basically going to end this unless anybody... I mean, I'll leave this open for a little bit longer, but I really don't have anything left to talk about. I've just been fucking babbling. So if anybody else has anything to say, they're welcome to it. And then I'll just close the stream in a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to use the restroom right now, and I'll be back. Okay, so let me get into a. You may not be familiar with some of my other stuff about fucking video game companies in general. All right, so one of the things that I have a problem with is Blizzard. There's a few people, including myself, that are never going to buy another Blizzard product for the specific reason that as long as Blizzard's corrupted report system is in place, that kills any of us purchasing anything further from Blizzard. The fact that the report system in itself is so fucking abused. Blizzard, I've made videos on this, and if you have any understanding on why I'm talking about this, you can go watch that one on one of my other videos where Blizzard's report system might not even be legal because it's literally teetering on the borderlines of illegal. It's like siphoning money. So what I did was I actually contacted a class action lawsuit lawyer who has actually had a case against Blizzard before. And so I laid out the scenario, and I already knew when I was talking to this lawyer that there was going to be some discrepancy on exactly what was going on. So I had explained to him that the only way you can really get Blizzard with this, and this is me explaining this to a lawyer, that the only way you can, and this is a lawyer that had a class action lawsuit against Blizzard, but this is a warranted class action lawsuit specific to the store because it causes monetary system. And so, like EA, in the regard that EA uses loot boxes as a obsessive mechanic to get people to buy shit, Blizzard relies on their games being addictive to the point where people will pay money for it regardless of being punished. So if somebody gets banned from a Blizzard game and they have an account, they will buy another account simply by nature in the same way people buy loot boxes. So in that regard, it's predatory. So what happens here is, under product development, no company is immune to this. People like to freaking exempt game developers from shit. No, they're not. The game developers especially are have a problem. So what happens here with Diablo 2, because I don't just like to say shit, I'll explain where my argument comes from. If you look on the storefront of Diablo 3, and this is particular with Diablo 3, nowhere does it mention that there is a bug in the programming code or something that they're calling a bug, that if you get silenced or muted or squelched or whatever phrase you want to call it, in any Blizzard game, Diablo 3 becomes unplayable. You literally can launch the game, but you cannot play it. This play button is grayed out, period. And so you can't even play the game. It's still being sold on the Blizzard store with no warning. That's the equivalency of selling a defective product. You know it's defective, you've acknowledged it's defective, and yet you continue still selling it to try to make money on it on the premise that you know your games are addicting. Oh yeah. So there's a there's a monetary issue involved here. And they know the system does this. Because this system is in, this abuse system started in Overwatch. People think it started in before that. No. The silent system was in World of Warcraft, but it wasn't automated. There were actually people in the game. They were like, you could talk. But this system is way over abused in Overwatch. That's where the system was used. Once Blizzard realized that enough reports on the automated system silences somebody's account, and then the punishment doubles. So first it's a day, then it's 2 days, then it's 4 days, then it's 8 days, then it's 16 days, then it's 32 days, then it's 60 days, then it's 120 days. The punishment just doesn't end. It doubles. And eventually what happens is people keep doing it. It renders the account useless because you have to talk during an MMO. And the stuff that Blizzard lies out, they say, oh, you can still use. No, you can't. It shuts down these avenues that prevent you from actually literally playing the game. So in this particular case, getting silenced in any Blizzard game stops you from literally playing Diablo 3. There's some fucked up thing going on that they know it's fucked up. Now, the interesting thing about this is this problem has happened prior to this happening once. This has happened 3 times. If you go back and look, this has happened 3 times. It's been fixed 3 times. They can fix it. They're doing nothing about it. And you can literally argue that they're using this system to siphon money because they saw the system was corrupted in Overwatch. They knew it was bad. Everybody said it was a bad idea, and you can look this up. This is fucking back, and you can look this up. And then they trickled it into other games, and now it's just been trickled all over the place. That system is still in place. As long as that system is in place, me and a bunch of people will never buy another Blizzard product because we don't buy a game to be told we can't play it by some other assholes who don't like something. And if you want to know how bad that the fucking abuse is with this stuff, again, I think Overwatch is bad. People are abusing reports simply because they're choosing a character. Oh yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. And so the report system for this, again, it's so off the chain. So again, I point blank refuse to buy another Blizzard game. I will not give them any money for it. I will not renew any of my subscriptions in a game that, like WoW or anything, simply because they have a system in place that basically siphons money. You can literally argue in a court of law that they are literally doing this. And the fact that it's not even mentioned on the, like, it's one thing to not be able to talk in a game, but getting muted, silent, squelched, whatever word you want to call it, in any Blizzard game, including Hearthstone, stops you from actually being able to play Diablo 3. And there's no mention of it on the store at all. No mention of it. And the fact that they fixed it, they full well know. And they're aware that this is happening. They're aware that this is happening. If I had gone to court with Steam, I finally settled that with the lawyer. If I had gone to court with Steam, I would have disrupted the Steam workshop. I would have literally disrupted the Steam. I would have disrupted the Steam workshop. And here's the problem. Everyone's like, well, you should disrupt the Steam workshop. Guess what? I don't give a shit. All of you pricks on this fucking website and on this service need to fucking be taught a lesson. Because you're going around scot-free, causing all these fucking problems, getting people banned from games, doing stupid shit in all your fucking games, and then you're basically poking fun at people in games about what they're talking about, and there's nothing happening. Fuck off. And they're like, you want to take that? I'm like, yeah, I fucking do. And I says, I will too. So my point here is this wasn't about, this was like, I would be the, and here's the thing, I would have disrupted, because of the case I actually had set up and built against Valve in the Steam Workshop. If you think the fucking paid mods were bad, you should have seen the fucking case that I had. The case that I had was fucking beyond fucked. Like, I had them by the fucking balls if I wanted to. I literally could have disrupted the entire Steam Workshop to the point where it probably would have been removed. Or had a serious revision to it. I would have literally had the court force Valve to do something on that. And it would have been a fucking problem. And if you think people hate me now, it doesn't fucking matter. See, this is not about... See, this is the problem with fucking people online. You want to punish other people? Yes, I fucking do. And here is the reason why. You don't get to fucking go around, do shit, and then act like what Valve is doing is okay and defend them. That makes you an enemy, period. Especially with all of the bullshit. Well, we didn't do anything. Yeah, actually you did. You're part of this fucking system in defending it. If it doesn't fucking matter what your opinion is. So yeah, I would have disrupted the entire Steam Workshop due to now here's the interesting thing with this. What I was going after the Steam Workshop for was what a game designer did by pulling a fucking abusing the copyright system. And then the developer went to other places, or the owner, I shouldn't say the developer, the owner went to other places on the net and used their status to fuck with me. Oh yeah, I had a fucking whole case regarding, I actually had a case. I pulled this case out. Like, I had this case in front of me. Like, I would have laid it entirely out in the court, and I would have fucking made the court, really, this would have changed something inside Valve, and it would have disrupted the flow of something. It wouldn't have probably shut it down, but it would damn near get fucking something done about this, and I would be responsible for that, and I would fucking laugh my ass off. And the bottom line comes down to it is, the gaming community as a whole needs to shut the fuck up about certain things, and they need to be taught a lesson, period. And I'm not talking about a hack. I'm not talking about disrupting it because you're an asshole. I'm not talking about that. What I had was an actual legal problem that it's like, it's gone beyond the fucking point of rational. Just gone beyond the point of it. Then you have idiots defending stuff. And the point here, and this was to actually make a point, that how people think systems operate because of the terms of service is not how they actually operate in real life. The main reason to do that was because I had too many fucking jackasses and too many gaming forums and too many places online and too many games, especially on the Steam forum, pulling this shit and acting like they knew what they were talking about. The point being is I would have dealt a blow to the fucking to the Steam Workshop to get a point across that you people don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're attacking me saying I don't know what I'm doing, and yet I would have been the one that literally put a damper on the fucking workshop with this specific problem. Because like I said, it wasn't just a case of copyright. What I had went into trademark infringement, plus something the lawyer said to me in a separate letter, and then a few additional things. Like, I literally had a way to disrupt the fucking Steam Workshop. And it has nothing to do with being a jackass. It's like, this needs to be fucking done because Valve is getting away with too much shit. These idiots on here fucking don't know what the hell they're talking about, and that's it. So this is the point. I could have been a complete fucking jackass. And the reason I didn't was because their lawyer backed off from me when I fucking brought something up. You should have seen the fucking counter offer that the fucking lawyer had with me. So the lawyer, I says, that's not going to happen. I said, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to agree to this. I says, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll agree to this if they agree to legally do this. I said, I don't give a shit about the fucking friends list or the forum or anything else. They need to agree permanently to never touch my ability to register a game. Ever. Oh, they're not going to agree to that. And I said, then this is not getting agreed to either. Fuck off. Oh, yeah, it was great. So I just don't even give a shit about what they were saying. I just don't. So my point here is I'm not it was like, listen, they're not going to tie my hands unless they're going to get tied back. It's as simple as that. Their hands are going to be tied. They're going to give in to something, or this charade is going to stop. So their lawyer backed off and everything else, and that was it, you know. But like I said, I mean, this is fucking hilarious. So yeah, the counterclaims ZeniMax Media, I had when I was in court, they had a $7,000 or $7,500 counterclaim against me for something. Now they were just trying to deter me from going after them. But here's the thing. I had enough evidence on my possession to quash that counterclaim right out. Because I had one argument that would have crippled their entire counter argument. So instead of trying to address each point in the counter argument itself, you just address what the whole reasoning behind the counter argument was. Once you pull into question the actual reasoning for the counter argument, a lot of shit inside of it dissolves. because it's like, yeah, you can still adjust it, but this is just, we've already covered this one aspect. So I had there were 3 key points in that, 3 or 4 key points inside the counter argument that I could just see, and one of them had like 17 different things in it that literally I had one thing to say about it, and it just would have crippled the entire argument for that 17 sections. It just would have shut the entire half of the thing down because their argument didn't even make any sense. Like, it literally didn't have anything to do with the court case. They were using it to try to deter stuff. So the interesting thing with these counterclaims is that I had evidence from the company itself, permission to do, like, I had an email from the head person about this. And then in the counterclaim, they're like, well, he was using this. I'm like, I was using it under the advice of the person who fucking told. It was just hilarious, dude. It was so ridiculous. Like, I don't think they realized, like, the shit that I had. It was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, I don't know. It was kind of like weird. Yeah, it's getting late. Yeah, I like making comments on these videos. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if you could even hear the video that I was playing. Sometimes you can't hear that, so I don't know what I was supposed to be doing with that. So I'm assuming you could or could. I have no idea. But anyway, before I end this stream, I'm going to state I have another place that I'm going to urban explore, and I'm going to do that soon. And so keep an eye on that. What's funny is, what's weird about urban exploring is, it's not like, I guess you could, but it's a lot harder to gather. Like, you can't just gather 15 videos in a week and then upload them. It's not like you could do, you probably could do a video a week or whatever it is if you had the funding for it. But the point here is that there's a lot of places that I want to get on there, but I just have to do them in segments. So urban exploring is not like I can just whip up a video and make it talk like this. It takes a while. So it's a matter of, like, making sure you're going to go at the right time, the right temperature. Some places you have to, you want to go there when there's trees out so it blocks your view off of the road. Just other certain things, and just other stuff. So keep an eye out for that on my other channel, 360 Investigations. And I will talk to you guys. One video I do want to make is regarding my teeth, because I didn't do an update on that yet, and I still haven't had any of my teeth removed, because I said that in a previous video, but circumstances changed, which I'll discuss that in another video at a later time, probably tomorrow or something. So I will take off for now. So until next video, next stream, I wish you all well, and this is TL Gamer signing out, saying have a good day or night wherever you are.